against the clock, been racing the rock, and you won't find nothing that'll be making me stop. So don't even give it a thought. Time can never be bought. We've argued, quarreled, and fought, only to find that it's all about time. It can never rewind. Only fast forward and eject and show respect. We've all been given a set amount. We gotta make it count. Everybody seems to think that it's running out. I wake up in the morning and walk into the day to see people moving every which way. So let's go, okay? It's me and you, time in life. I live mine by the rhyme, rolling with the flyest design to get a move on the rest. I get my groove on the best piece of wax and chill. Got no time to be acting ill. There's a void I need to fill and make use of my skill. Build and climb to reach heights, entertain, change your mind, and don't lose sight of the original find. You gotta keep it together, y'all, cause it's about time. Gotta keep it together, y'all, cause it's about time. It's about time. Hours, days, weeks, and months, plenty of time on the pot to get the piece you want. If you really keep it real, then you cease to front. Put on a show for nobody unless it's on the stage with a mic, 2 decks, and some hype. Party people in the crowd, that's the kind of the light. It's my time to shine for my folks at home. Me and this microphone coasting time zones, waiting for the second hand to smack these rhyme clones, and then give me a pound so we can dip in the zone. Time is my homeboy, what y'all didn't know? We go back to my melody and radio. Even though he's mad cool, he's still shady though. Done me wrong on occasion, always keeping me waiting. They say patience is a virtue, but time's a motherfucker. Always thought he was legit, come to find he's undercover, creeping up on that ass, either slow or fast. And don't make the mistake of thinking you can outlast. Don't stop. So keep an eye on your watch, cause sometimes it's the time and that's all you got. You think not? Keep an eye on your watch, cause sometimes the time is all you got. Sometimes it's the time, that's all you got. 11 to the 12 and the no matter how you measure sunny, rain, or stormy weather, the time is going to make it through whatever. It's never ending. I'm recommending that you pace yourself. Like me, if you need a hand, take some help. We all in this together, we can do whatever. Don't ever say you don't have time. That used to be a favorite excuse of mine. And there's no such thing as free time or spare time. Time is a constant. A lot of people don't know the time, so they take it for granted. They don't know what's going on the other side of the planet. Over there they got a different time, a different frame of mind. No matter where you are, you're still just in time. Time is everything, most don't understand or comprehend. It doesn't have a start or an end. Just when someone's time is up, someone else's begins. Said it before and I'll say it again. Don't stop. We're just slaves to this work called time. Check your watch. I said it before and I say it a lot. We're just slaves to this work called time. Check your watch. That's the shadow. It's about time.
MCs fall back. There's Vic in your ear with the whole ball of wax. Call or fax for the freshest rhyme delivery or takeout for the fake you out ballers in the industry. Boss with them heat jeans, bad man, you know V. They say he's a cross between Adnan Khashoggi and Sho Kazuki. He said your chain is short dookie. The piece was like a mystery entity, spooky. What's its worth? A gun or a knife slice. Get your bust once or twice or run for your life price. An arm and a leg, the letters get a red hot. Calm till we fled the spot or leg, arm, headshot. battlefield, lyrical militants. Know he's feeling bent when he see little pink elephants. Never forget, memorize the elements, keep the mic sterilized, terrorize with eloquence and mellow eyelids. Tell no lies, kids, these guys ask for us to shell tone sizes. Shields up, dum-dum, where we come from, we thump it out for fun. And that's no conundrum. Pick up old goons, feed with the sicker known show tunes. On a full moon, lick your own wounds. Lighten up the stratosphere, shooting slugs is nameless. Aim caressing Vladimir Putin. His matted hair was too thin to cut into a Gumby. Nothing to be, he feel his bum knee. It's about to rain, there goes my two-way. Out of range, it's a strange new day, touche. It's all good like down home cooking. He left with the crown on his dome and kept booking. His men run Crooklyn, keep 1 in 10 Huns hooking. No offense, none tooken. It's more fun of the looking. The pound of the war drum had your poor son shooken. Sometimes he feel he need to stop jooksing. Then he say nah with a real sly crook grin. Vic style of rhyme will bug out Joe's six pack. Slick while the time he dug out Joe chick's back. She wore a thong in her youth. These days she's a bit long in the tooth. Just chewing on the titty fat, pursuing the kitty cat, drooling on her pretty hat. Playing pool and pity pat, stay in school, kiddies, brats, instead of spraying tools and shitty gats. Laying cool, witty at, St. Jules, city rats, ruling with gritty stats. Cooling where the clicks be at. It's no time for chitty chat, fool v pity that. Follow your instincts. I told her time and time again not to swallow pink drinks. I guess it's just how the hollow ink clinks. V, the think who made the chink in the big wink. They say he need a shrink. On the brink to pipe it when her sink made his pinky stink. The steady action for some paper and some ink. Could've flipped it longer, if the beat was rapping rinky dink. Still working out the kinks. Every time he thinks his third eye blinks. It must be in the blood like zinc. Glassy IV, put your CD on Jinx.
How long is all this gonna take, Doom? Doctor Doom. My love bite. Sure. I know what you mean. I hate it when some people call me JJ.
JJ?
Yeah, what do you... Parker!
Mr. Robertson sent me to take pictures.
You did, huh? Well, just don't get in the way.
Professor Potts' residence is right under JJ's estate.
Parker, quiet! We got work to do. We'll take pictures.
Right, JJ.
Don't call me behold.
Good morning, Patriots, and welcome back to another episode of The Discourse. I am your host, the lovely Brandon Sutton, and today is August 26th. It is a Wednesday. It is a hump day. How's everyone doing? How's everyone feeling? What's up? What's up and what's down? Sun's out. I apologize. I was at the gym and I just lost track of time this morning. I think it was because I was playing Ninja Gaiden 4 and waiting for my phone to charge. And I was also out late because I went to go see Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma. I really enjoyed it. I don't want to talk about it any more than that, but I really enjoyed it. Ooh. Yeah, I'm sad that Dolly Parton died as well. R.I.P. to a real one. She was really big into giving books to children. So, a lot of people did not like that, mostly Republicans. I mean, I'm sure they'll pretend like they did, but I'm just saying. Brandon, are book political in your opinion? Is it Patrick Bet David in the chat? Although, that reminds me, as I was looking through Dolly Parton news today and also thinking about Darlene Graham, and also thinking about Gary, Indiana, which I don't have any real update on. Based on what I was able to see from like a cursory scan, they're saying that 99% of residents in Gary, Indiana have, had their power turned back on after the storm. I don't know if that's exactly true, but that's what the news is reporting. And I will say, though, supposedly there's like another storm getting ready to hit the same area. So I guess we'll find out. But as I was looking into the recovery from that storm, it reminded me that we haven't looked into Hurricane Helene recovery in a while. I just reference it a lot. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to check in on Hurricane Helene recovery, if for no other reason than, well, it's also part of the Carolinas. So more than that, just that. But Dolly Parton was raising money for it as well. back when it happened. So I was like, oh, it could be a good little check in. I love to check in. When and where was Helene? 2024 and basically the mid Atlantic, but North Carolina was hit especially hard by it. Darlene Pardon or Lindsay Pardon? We lost two incredible Southern queens this summer. No, I shouldn't say that. Reading Invax? Tut, tut, tut. I know. You got like my tank top today? It's a novelty uh Mob Psycho tank top that says Salt Middle School on it. And at the bottom it says Body Improvement Club. Let's see what else is going on in the chat. I mean, a lot of stuff is going on everywhere else. Yeah, there was an insane mudslide in Nepal too. We could look into that. I have a few things to cover today, he says with a smile that stretches from ear to ear, because some of those things I think you're going to be really excited about or really troubled by, or maybe a little bit of both. But I like to think that that's where the freak zone happens, right? When you're both troubled and excited. I want people to be troubled by how excited they are for today's show. Although we might end up watching more Tim Pool. And the reason why, although I'm going to try to resist the urge because it's not very good, is because he has George Santos back on. And I do not understand why he has George Santos on all the time. And in fact, I kind of thought that it was maybe because he drove clicks, because we watch it when he's on, obviously. But in fact, it's one of his worst performing videos. Maybe because it's about Marvel movies too, but we might watch that because I'm just curious, because George Santos is not producing content on his own channel anymore after that recent judgment against him for, I forget what kind of scam he was doing. Insider trading, maybe. I don't recall. Oh, yes. I do recall now immediately. Insider trading on Polymarket or one of those prediction websites about whether or not he was going to be somewhere, because he had said that he was going to be at the State of the Union or something because Trump had pardoned him, and he was tweeting about going a bunch, but he bet on himself not going because man, uh you can only be so mad at him for stuff like that. Easy money, exactly. I think that should be legal. I think that should be legal. I think that if prediction markets can exist, I think that you should be allowed to bet on actions that you control, because it's not gambling. So what's the difference, right? I think it's rude to pretend like it's some kind of, that it's somehow really gambling or really investing, but doesn't have to have any of the oversight really of either of those things. But you can be subject to crimes that are reserved for that kind of thing despite that. It's like that crypto bullshit. It's like if you can be convicted of insider trading on there, it needs to be regulated by the SEC. But also very funny. It's like an investment at that point. I mean, it definitely is, but more than anything, it's a sign of the deep, I think, nihilism present in a lot of our society as it pertains to, well, the rest of our society, but also their options for like earning themselves a legitimate future. You know what I mean? Like getting things the good way. They just think they have to like scam their way to the top. And I'm gonna sleaze my way to the top today. Who doesn't love easy money? Our president does. It's like that movie Crank, but instead of adrenaline, he needs the grift to stay alive. I like to think that'd be a great idea for a movie. Just call it grift. Like he can't, like if he doesn't like scam somebody every 24 hours, his heart just blows up. Although I don't think I'm going to watch a movie tonight. I could watch Crank if I were going to watch a movie tonight. I think instead I'm going to finally watch, finish / enjoy, whichever, Widow's Bay. I almost said Widow's Peak, but Widow's Bay. Because I watched the first episode of it, and I kind of just stopped because I didn't have a chance to finish it. I was like, I don't want to get too invested before, and then like have to take a long break before the next episode and have to just rewatch it anyway. But I feel like if I dedicate my night to it, I can definitely finish it today. It gets better. I thought the first episode was good. I'm sorry if I speak really stilted sometimes. I'm doing my best to not talk as fast as I'd like to. Because you know me, I love to just like yap, 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 you know, Ben Shapiro style. And so I try to force myself to speak at a speed that most people can understand. But then I listen back and I'm like, wow, I sound like a robot. People are going to think I'm weird. I am weird though, obviously. But not as weird as the stuff I'm going to show you today. I'll tell you that for free. Oh, you know, someone is suing Tommy Robinson. I don't know much about the details, but I saw it on Sky News today, and I wasn't able to find any other source for it. You guys want to check that out real quick? See who's suing Tommy Robinson? Most people should sue him. For what? Just like looking like that? Or you mean something specific? I am suing Tommy Robinson over a false claim after being filmed in a playground. Wow. Let's try this. Oh, let me make sure I...
Why are you filming kids?
It took just a few words to turn this man into a target.
Get him out!
Seen and shared across the world.
Get him out! Get him out!
Kurenbeg says every word about him was wrong.
Tommy Robinson then posted another invader hanging around a park filming children.
And that's a picture of you?
That's a picture of me with a video.
So he's calling you an invader. But by the time he could challenge it, the damage was done.
A lot of people were out and we were just enjoying the day out with the kids. And all of a sudden we just seen this commotion coming towards the park. I'd seen a helicopter come down and just a load of people coming down dressed in black, like balaclava, shouting stuff and started directing stuff at me. And I thought... Shouting what? Shouting, go back home, close the borders.
Kuran is a fourth-generation Scot. His great-grandparents came here in the 1940s.
I stood there and I said...
Exactly. That's what I'm always talking about. Like, the UK is now, and also other parts of Europe, are now where America was has been for a really long time, where there are just multiple brown people, multiple types of brown people who are just full ass citizens, who you can't tell to go home, who you can't say needs to be sent back to any other place because they've just lived there for like 100+ years, more or less. And once people come to terms with that, that's when it becomes necessary in a lot of people's minds to just totally erode the public sector. Because before, it could just be, we got to send them home. That was Brexit. Brexit is being, you know, overtaxing the NHS, all these Polish people, send them home. Now that they're going to be forced to come to terms with the reality that that's not possible, it's going to be the right wing's goal to just go like, okay, then we just can't have any of this stuff. Public sector? What public sector? As much as the racists hate it, they love it. They love being racist.
Said stuff and I was recording on my phone. And I was on my own and I think there was about 40 to 50 of them. Then they started surrounding me. And I thought, okay, I'll just walk aside. And there's a bit of a play park over there. And I thought I'd sit over there. I'll let them shout and stuff like that. And this time I'll just diffuse the situation and just sit down. And probably stupidly, but I just sat on the swing thinking instantly. I was just sit there and watched them. The next day, I started getting messages from relatives across the world. Somebody shared a clip that they found on Tommy Robinson's X account. And then a caption on that post saying, invader.
Robinson's account later posted an admission he'd got it wrong and deleted the video. But then...
There's loads of headlines flying around that I've apologised to some Pakistani Muslim in Glasgow who was accused of being a nonce for sitting in the park with no kids. So I haven't apologised to him because I didn't even share the story. I didn't even know about it.
Yeah, double down. Double down. His skin is really blotchy. That's okay. Sometimes my skin gets like that. We just both have combination skin. See, you got to just let it go. I love his reclining, goddamn, he has a lot of Livestrong bands on. That's not cool anymore, Tommy. People don't wear a bunch of different color Livestrong bands. But yeah, just got to play it cool. No. This is how you open yourself up to lawsuits. Pearl style. Hey, don't spoil it.
Pakistani Muslim in Glasgow who was accused of being a nonce for sitting in the park with no kids. So I haven't apologised to him because I didn't even share the story. I didn't even know about the story. One of my admins did.
Kuran says he's going down the legal route.
It's difficult. Somebody in my position who works 9 to 5 days a week, to go down a case where you're basically, going through the defamation route is difficult to do. You can't just make stuff up about people, spread, and then walk away.
This week, Sky News traced how online anger spilled onto Glasgow's streets recently. But for Kuran, it went the other way. A street confrontation became a viral accusation, and now he's taking it to court. Connor Gillis, Sky News.
Womp womp. I wonder how that's going to turn out. I've never been to Glasgow. I've only ever been to Edinburgh. Beautiful. Like I said, I had a great breakfast there one day. Former Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino speaks after Charlotte encounter. Doesn't it sound like he should just pick a big cow with a name like that? Like just like a big, I don't know, anthropomorphic cow who talks, Greg Bovino? What Charlotte encounter? Did something happen to him in Charlotte? I hadn't heard of anything. He hasn't been the commander in a while. Greg Bovino, Charlotte. What happened in Charlotte? Oh, bakery owner stands up to Trump's ex-border patrol chief. Oh, someone like confronted him? Oh, someone is like confronted him. Oh, yeah. Fuck this guy. Yeah, let's hear about this.
A former Border Patrol commander now getting attention for his return to Charlotte and the business where officers arrested people during Operation Charlotte's Web. So the interaction with Gregory Bovino has baker owner Manola Bentancur fearing for the East Charlotte community once again. Bentancur says that he told Bovino that he was not allowed on his property or inside his business. Well, Queen City News anchor Will Lewis has more on yesterday's confrontation.
Thanks for joining us here for the news at 4.
Let's hear from the guy himself. Let's hear from the guy himself.
The owner of Manolo's Bakery in East Charlotte speaking out after an encounter with former U.S. Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino.
Bovino showed up to the bakery on Sunday saying he was visiting locations he previously commanded Border Patrol during Charlotte's Web in November.
Him. WCNC Charlotte just airs live in East Charlotte outside of that bakery now.
A literal like a serial killer returning to the scene of his like murders. Disgusting. Yeah. I want to hear what this guy had to say. I hope he let him have
Jesse, this location has been a place for folks to speak out about immigration enforcement.
Yes, it has been. It doesn't take long when you get here that you see this big mural on the side made by immigrants. And then on the glass door, you see a sign that says no ICE access. And to the owner, these are not just words.
That was very intimidating. You know, that guy has so much power. He brought a lot of bad memories to us.
Manolo's bakery owner, Manolo Bentancur, says he recognized former Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino outside his business on Sunday. Bentancur says he started recording and shared a post to alert the community of Bovino's presence. He says his stance was clear. Bovino was not welcomed here and refused to serve him. Bentancur says he felt Bovino was trying to provoke him into saying something he would regret.
Oh, so how many flags do you have inside? How many illegals do you have over there? I said, just one flag, man. The American flag, that's the only.
You should have told him to leave your property and that if he didn't, you would have him trespassed by the police. If he refuses to leave your property, have him arrested. He has no legal right. He has no legal right to stay if you ask him to leave. Don't answer any of his questions. Have his ass arrested. Call the police and have him trespassed.
Flag that I have inside my business. No, I love this country.
Bovino says he was there to record a podcast and visiting locations where he previously commanded Border Patrol during Charlotte's Web in November. The bakery has been a place where people have come together to protest ICE and Border Patrol enforcement. Bentancur says since he has spoken out, he has gotten a lot of love from the community, with folks standing with him, but also a lot of hate, including his business vandalized on Monday when eggs were thrown at the bakery.
The hate messages has increased a lot. The sales are down, way down. Bad reviews, a lot.
Bentancur says he is not defending criminals, but what he doesn't believe in is people being judged by their appearance. He says immigration reform is needed.
I want to say borders, but we need to keep families together. Our chefs, our bakers, our brown people, our farmers, they are good people. and nobody has done anything in the last 40 years to fix this situation.
Bovino shared a statement saying he was there to document what he described as a lack of mass deportations in Charlotte. He also accused Ventecor of focusing on race and defending people he described as illegal aliens. Bovino, who according to North Carolina voting rolls now lives in Mecklenburg County, says his video will be available or released within the next day or two. Now, Ventecor says he plans to speak out at Charlotte City Council tonight, and he says he plans to address the impact immigration enforcement has had on businesses and families. Live in East Charlotte.
No one is going to watch the Greg Bovino podcast. What a crazy thing to say. Could you imagine what kind of like psychopath you'd have to be to like keep up with Greg Bovino? I know that there is that Trey Gowdy show, which apparently has millions of people listening, but every show has millions of people listening. Every book that they write goes to the #1 on the nonfiction bestseller. You'll have to forgive me if I take a little bit of skepticism, with that particular number, but forgive me. Bovino. What a scumbag. Someone said, like, what do you think the cops are going to do? Well, considering it's the police, it really is a coin flip. And I think we can all agree that some of the options might turn out you might like. As we saw with that video with the sheriff, you really can't tell. Like, it's really like rolling a D20. But I think we can agree that at least 4 out of 20 of those options, or 1/5 for people who know math, like, you never know. Maybe the sheriff will show. Maybe the sheriff will show up. Just go berserk. All right, let's do. Well, actually, I don't need to put myself up. Oh, this is like the craziest thing. It just came out like literally as I was sitting down to put the music on for the show, but I totally believe that it's going to happen now because he's already done this to the White House. So you know how they made Trump take his name off the Kennedy Center after he put his name on the Kennedy Center? And then he's trying to put it on again. Now he's threatening to tear the Kennedy Center down if he's not allowed to have his way.
Now to the Trump administration threatening to tear down the Kennedy Center in the court battle over putting the president's name on the building. Jay O'Brien is at the Kennedy Center this morning with the latest. Jay, good morning.
Whit, good morning to you. In an extraordinary court filing, the Trump administration threatening that it could tear down the iconic Kennedy Center unless a judge greenlights the president's planned renovations and lets him put his name on the building. Lawyers for the Justice Department calling this iconic venue, in their words, quote, dangerously dilapidated and decrepit, and arguing that without Trump stepping in, the venue may need to be demolished.
I love this. Oh, and I love culture. Oh, but this is so funny. He's going to put 2 in the back of the head of the Kennedy Center unless he's allowed to put his name on it. He's really spiraling because of Iran, for sure. Like, there's no other way for me to interpret this other than he's always wanted these things, but now that Iran is going super poorly, he has to have them. Just like with the tariffs with the tariffs with Canada. I would be surprised if we don't hear more about Greenland again in a very aggressive way. He's really, really spiraling. It's dangerous times, folks.
Department calling this iconic venue, in their words, quote, dangerously dilapidated and decrepit, and arguing that without Trump stepping in, the venue may need to be demolished and replaced with something like an outdoor amphitheater. That's despite the fact that Congress just last year appropriated more than $250 million for renovations to the Kennedy Center. Lawyers for Democratic Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, who's a member of the center's board, who brought this lawsuit, calling the president's threat here, quote, unconscionable. Remember, a judge ordered that Trump's handpicked board here at the Kennedy Center remove his name from the building in May. The board has now offered an alternative, saying it would leave John F. Kennedy's name up top and put below it the phrase renovated and restored by President Donald J. Trump. But ultimately, it's up to a judge as to whether it's up to the Congress, the judge has said, whether this building's name should be removed. Robin.
Many find this unbelievable, Jay. All right, thank you.
That is crazy. He should let John Wilkes Booth. No, that's not right. Well, whatever. He should let John Wilkes Booth tear it down. Well, actually, you know what? He should just since John Wilkes Booth is dead and Lee Harvey Oswald is dead, and I don't know if he can get any Israeli demolition company to bring it down. Probably he could. But I think that, Sirhan is out of prison or alive still. Maybe he should be able to take it down. Yeah, Donald Trump is so petty. I think he'll tear it down if they don't let him put his name on it. Because you know how he does stuff like this, where he'll go, okay, then he'll just have it demolished before anyone can say anything, and then they'll just be forced to stop him because they won't put him in jail or anything. And so by the time the paperwork goes through the court, he'll have already taken down a whole wing of the Kennedy Center, and then they'll go "You're not allowed to do that, Mr. President," and he'll go "Okay, well, it's already done," and then they'll just shrug and "I guess, we don't know what to do now." They should have a special John Wilkes Booth booth. They should. The Lee Harvey Oswald Center for Performing Arts, renovated by Cole Thomas Allen. That's what it's like in alternative universe. In an episode of Sliders, it would be the Lee Harvey Oswald Center as renovated by Thomas Michael Crooks or whatever that guy's name is. Because it would all be inverted. All of the assassins would have been the leaders. Okay. Well, nothing comes up when you do #meth. Why would it? Oh, yes, Barron Trump thing. I meant to cover that, and I put it in the title after I started the stream, and it was something else. Because I wanted to remind myself to cover that, because I totally forgot. Trump is so petty. I do love it, though. Well, since we talked about ICE, we might as well do this story, too. So, Texas Governor Greg Abbott is now refusing to extradite the ICE officer that is being charged in that shooting in Minneapolis. Did I get it right that time? And so, this is going to create a little bit of a problem, a cross-state problem.
Doomed to fail. That is what Texas Governor Greg Abbott told a judge yesterday about Minnesota's bid to force the extradition of an ICE officer arrested in Texas. ICE agent Christian Castro was charged in by Minnesota authorities, with shooting a Venezuelan man earlier this year during Operation Metro Surge. Right now, though, he's being held in a Texas jail, and Abbott says he is not going to hand him over. Let's bring in CBS News immigration correspondent Camilo Montoya Galvez. Camilo, thank you for your time. What more are we learning about this?
Hi, Mugo. Good morning. As you noted, this case centers on ICE officer Christian Castro. He was involved, as you noted, in that high-profile shooting of a Venezuelan immigrant who was accused of being in the country illegally in Minneapolis during that controversial Operation Metro Surge in Minnesota earlier this year that, of course, garnered a lot of national attention. Castro, importantly, was suspended by ICE by the Trump administration earlier this year after that operation, after the agency said that it found that his statements that he was attacked by somebody with a broom and also a shovel, and that was the reason that he shot allegedly in self-defense, proved to be inaccurate and false.
No way.
And then he was subsequently
lying?
charged by prosecutors at the local level in Minnesota with 4 counts of second-degree assault, Mugo, and 1 count of falsely reporting a crime. Prosecutors say that he shot into that occupied home in Minneapolis. He struck that Venezuelan immigrant in the leg and then essentially lied about the incident. He's been in local custody in Texas since the...
Well, it sounds like ICE also confirmed that when they let him go, when they put him on suspension or whatever, right? So it doesn't sound like it's an allegation that is unsupported by, I would consider it to be independent investigation.
Charges came out, but so far Governor Abbott, as you noted, has refused to approve or act on that extradition request for him to be classified as a fugitive and then transferred to Minnesota to face that local prosecution. Minnesota is now asking a federal court in Texas to basically force Abbott's hand and order that extradition to take place and to be undertaken by Texas officials. But now Texas officials are arguing that they have serious doubts about whether Castro can be legally classified as a fugitive because they say, Mugo, that ICE has provided the state evidence that he was forced by the agency to relocate to Texas after that shooting that he didn't go there to flee. That is the argument from Texas, at least. So this is the latest legal battle between a blue state and a red state over immigration, and obviously a very politically fraught issue. Mugo.
Yeah, certainly seems that way. We'll see how it plays out. Camila Monte.
Yeah, Abbott will traffic undocumented migrants to northeast states to prove a point, but he will also prevent the extradition of a person wanted for assault and falsifying, essentially federal documents. That's justice. That's the crime and punishment party. They're going to try to sneak him out of the country. Watch. No. They're going to let him live within the borders of Texas, which are currently on fire. Not the borders specifically, but Texas, broadly speaking. Well, not broadly. Texas is huge, but some of it is on fire. Yeah, Texas should balkanize into 4 different states, all with worse politics. Oh, yeah. Why not? Let's hear about those fires, actually. They should release him to self-deport to Minnesota and face the music. Well, did you hear? ICE had him go there, so he can't be a fugitive. How that means he can't be extradited, I'm not quite sure, but it means that he's not technically on the lam.
The other news this Tuesday night, the fire emergency outside Fort Worth, Texas. Homes engulfed in flames. Out of control fires now in both Texas and Utah. ABC's Melissa Adon in the fire zone for us.
Tonight, west of Fort Worth, Texas, it's an all-out aerial assault on the out-of-control Ross Fire. The raging inferno going from 25 acres to more than 50,000 in less than a day. That's nearly 80 square miles, an area roughly the size of Baltimore. This large home completely
crazy. That is really apocalyptic looking. These wildfires are out of control, man.
An area roughly the size of Baltimore. This large home completely engulfed, others destroyed. The fire melting this building's metal roof. It's fueled by bone-dry brush and triple-digit temperatures that have plagued the West all summer. Outside Reno, firefighters are still trying to gain the upper hand on a fire that's forced tens of thousands to evacuate. The flames from the Hawk Fire coming down this hillside, jumping that highway and then destroying this home. That home, one of at least 47 confirmed destroyed. David, as evacuations lift and residents in northern Reno return home to scenes like this, the triple-digit heat could continue for several more days as temperatures could reach up to 115 degrees in the southwest. David.
Melissa Adon with us again tonight. Melissa, thank you.
That's crazy stuff. I want to hear more about this Ross fire. You missed my Friends joke. It wasn't very good because I don't watch Friends, but...
Yeah, Lauren, so right now it is day 3 of the firefight, and overnight the city of Bryson was ordered to shelter in place and prepare for an emergency mandatory evacuation. So the folks there on edge right now, really waiting for that call to come in at any point. Bryson is located west of Jacksboro along Highway 380. That highway is close to the public right now. We right now are located on FM 4, kind of in between Perrin and Bryson, as well as Grayford and Jacksboro, kind of in the middle of all those 4 cities. And I want to show you some video that we were able to capture early this morning, just maybe an hour or 2 ago. This is video of the flames, maybe just less than 5 miles from where we are right now. Those flames, and there were some crews out there that are currently working to prevent this fire from spreading anymore, but these are some flames that we saw just along the woods. And this just gives you an idea of how much this fire is spreading and how quickly it is spreading, because these flames, like I said, they were just maybe 5 miles down the road or so, but those crews are working very hard to put them out. Now, as the Ross Fire exploded in size over the last 48 hours since it started, hundreds of people have evacuated Palo Pinto and Jack counties. Many of them woke up to emergency responders going door to door and had to rush out in the dark of night. Officials said 350 people were evacuated in Palo Pinto County, and 170 personnel are working the fire. The evacuation effort also included hundreds of cattle and horses. As you can see from above, the fire also claimed its first buildings, destroying a home near the 9,000 block of Chick Bend, just off the Brazos River. Aerial footage shows the damage left behind at the Worth Ranch Scout Camp, which belongs to the Scouting America Longhorn Council. While multiple structures were destroyed, thankfully, no one was hurt.
And it's going to be hard.
Yeah, I mean, this is just the new normal in terms of what summers look like, especially in the Southwest and in parts of, the West just in general. A lot of drought. And next year is going to be even worse because of the El Nino cycle. Crazy stuff. You guys want to hear about that flood in Nepal? I mean, the video out of that is pretty stark. I can show it to you. It happened pretty recently. Oh. Of course it's not here. 2027 will be a doozy. Yeah, absolutely. Hold on, let me pull it up. There's been a lot of flooding, obviously, in Southeast Asia and parts of Asia because of El Nino as well. What was the last flood that we were covering there? Was it in like Chiba in Japan? That sounds right. That sounds about right. I think it's probably just from Al Jazeera. Now's the time to build a prepper cave. Here we go. Yeah, it's probably on Al Jazeera.
Major flash floods in Nepal have killed at least 8 people. The Trishuli River has surged through Himalayan districts near the border. Watch this. Videos shared by police and on social media show torrents of muddy water crashing through mountain villages. Prime Minister Balendra Shah has called an emergency meeting while authorities assess the damage. Meanwhile, in nearby Tibet, local authorities say that they fear, quote, major casualties, with some missing already after a mudslide hit a land crossing. This is video captured from the region of Girong in Tibet.
Yeah, I told you that the video was like crazy. I think I said that. I was definitely thinking that. And I had not seen that last video.
Prayash Adhikari joins us now. You're a climate justice activist focused on loss and damage issues. You're joining us from the Nepalese capital, Kathmandu. Can you tell us a little bit more? We've just watched very dramatic footage. Can you tell us a little bit more about what happened and where it happened?
Yeah, so this probably is one of the massive climate catastrophe or massive flood that Nepal has experienced in this whole century. And this started in this today morning at around like 9 in the northern part of Nepal, especially from the Tibet, and it entered into Nepal from...
God, I know you guys don't like when I pause, but I'm going to just say, how many times have we heard that exact same phrase? Just in the about a year I've been doing this show consistently. How many times have we heard that exact phrase from different parts of the world? Some version of, we haven't seen blank like this in a century. We haven't seen blank like this since 1924. I mean, literally it happens every week now. It used to be once every 10 years we would have those storms of a century, shout out Stephen King miniseries, but now it's like multiple times per year.
Nepal, especially from the Tibet, and it entered into Nepal from a district called Rasua. And it was such massive that it impacted from the northern to the southern part, the whole riverine trench, entering through the Votegosi River, through the Trishuli to the Narayani. And this flood was was much devastating that it swiped out whole village. Hundred of people are missing. It swiped out the households, the official buildings, schools, and many bridges that used to connect the communities with the national highways, and it also swiped out many highways as well. So until now, with the speculations and with all the data and assessments done by the government in other sectors, the speculations have been made that this is because of the climate-induced the glacier lake outburst flood, and which was
pause for a second. We'll get to the causes of this in just a second, but I first want to try and understand. We're in the very early stages of discovering this footage here and understanding what happened. I'm trying to get an assessment of just how big it is. And for the moment, 8 people have been confirmed dead. But given what you're telling us, that hundreds are missing, and given simply what we're seeing on our screen with entire roads swept away, buildings, communities, it is likely, unfortunately, that the death toll is going to be much higher than that.
You stopped him to say that? I mean, yeah, like you're saying right there, we all have eyes. We can all see that the death toll is going to be higher than that. You can see more than 8 people die in those videos you just showed right there. So, like, I mean, we might as well skip to the causes because like, I don't know how many people are dead. Like a billion? Like a billion's going to be dead if we don't do anything about climate change.
Yes, we're also worried about that. Yeah.
Can you explain the topography, the terrain?
Yeah,
that's a question.
So this is close to the Tibetan side of Nepal. This is the northern part, which is much the natural, the ecological part of the nations, and it goes from northern through the side of the northern side of the capital city and go in towards the southern, and later the river connects with the Indian side. So this is the geography.
And back to what you were telling us about the causes of this. You're saying, and apparently the government is also of this opinion, that this is at least in part fueled by climate change. Did I hear that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Can you explain that to us?
So this is with the current assessments and data until now, the speculations have been made that this is because of the glacier lake outburst flood, and this was triggered by snow avalanche in the part that you just mentioned in the Tibetan side. So which caused the glacier lakes to outburst, and this massive the flow of the water body happened.
Explain this part of it, because I'm not familiar with this, the glacial lake outburst.
Yeah, so this is a kind of climate catastrophe. This is one of the biggest climate catastrophe that Nepal has been facing for long. This is not the first time that Nepal has been facing the glacial lake outburst floods. So the glaciers are the snow bulks of snow in the Himalayan part of this world, of this area, and with the increasing temperatures, the glaciers, the snow bulk starts melting, and they form a huge water body, which is called a lake. So the lake that should.
That's a very distressing image, so I'm just going to take it off the screen for you. I don't think you need to see it happen twice, but yeah, very distressing image.
Be in a solid forms. They liquefied with the increasing in temperatures, and with a certain kinds of reflux, a certain kind of like the shake, such as earthquake, such as this kind of snow avalanche, and also increasing in temperatures. As the walls of the lakes are not made enough to hold this much of the liquid forms of water, and they broke out. And this is called outburst of the glacier lake, which ultimately destroy all the communities and all the residents downstream to the glacier lake through the rivers and through the mountainside. So we also had faced the glacier lake outburst floods few years back.
I mean, it sounds like he's saying that some version of like these snowpacks were acting as kind of natural dams to prevent like essentially stuff like this from happening. I mean, he obviously has a very thick accent, so it's kind of hard to make out entirely what it is without knowing more specifically about the natural the natural features of Nepal in detail. But yeah, like that's the kind of thing that we're going to see happen more often. That was also, if I'm understanding it correctly, what happened in Switzerland, was it, of maybe last year, where they had to relocate that entire village because of like the flooding that occurred, or like the like the flooding that occurred there. Where was that? I should look that up. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's a glacier and it melts into a lake, and then there's overflow. This particular thing was caused by an avalanche. Yeah, because like there's like a overabundance of melting. It seems like. I think the guy who's being the anchor is like trying to like tease it out of him in a way that's very, I think almost counterproductive.
In our Everest regions, and also in the other parts of Nepal, and also the ICIMOD, one of the regional organizations, also had clearly mentioned that there are several glacial lake in this Hindu Kush Himalaya regions which are in a higher risk to be get outbursted, like what exactly happened today.
All right, thank you very much for that explanation. I understand what you're saying. So you're saying that warmer temperatures have caused snow and ice on Nepal and Tibet's snow-capped mountaintops to melt, and that in turn creates massive deposits of water, glacier lakes. And
okay, yeah, we all got it now. We don't need another person to explain it. This would be the third person explaining it. Yeah, I'm getting confirmation from the chat that was in Switzerland. And in that case, in Switzerland, that village that had to move had been there for hundreds of years. Hundreds and hundreds of years. This is like straight out of The Day After Tomorrow or Geostorm. Gosh, I love disaster movies. Not when they happen like this. Now all of that will be even more prone to floods and slides without the tree roots and rocks. Greenland 2 sucked. I went to go see Greenland. Well, no, I've never seen Greenland. But the first time I saw the Greenland trailer, I was like on a date. It was like years and years ago when the Greenland came out. And like the trailer came on and like it was all very dramatic. And you know how disaster movie trailers can be, like people screaming and running and what are we going to do? I don't know, but I love you. Stuff like that. And like towards the end of the trailer, I just like leaned over and whispered to my date. I was like, I bet this movie has the dumbest name imaginable. And then right when I said that, Greenland just like splashed on the screen and we both just burst out laughing. I was like, yeah. In a world where Greenland is icy and Iceland is kind of green, one man, Gerard Butler, is dating a woman. One woman, who knows? Although I do love Geostorm, and obviously Olympus Has Fallen. I'm not like a Gerard Butler hater. But yeah, actually, since we're talking about flooding and the, I guess the direct aftermath and recovery efforts, why don't we turn over to some of like the Hurricane Helene stuff I wanted to look at, just because I was curious to see how that recovery was even going. I saw this video out of Forbes from, I think, a local congressperson who was chastising Congress for not helping enough with recovery even this far into it. But we'll see. We'll see. Where it what happened when I get too many tabs? Where it was. And let me tell you, they are still obviously in recovery. It's so hard to find anything on YouTube now. This is what I get for not saving it. Oh, here we go. 3 years is too long to wait. Ted Budd calls to speed up Hurricane Helene recovery. So this is from 4 weeks ago. Senator Republican from North Carolina spoke about the recovery from Hurricane Helene.
Unleashed an unprecedented amount of rainfall on the Blue Ridge Mountains.
The Blue Ridge Mountain, beautiful mountain range.
Bud. Chair Collins, Vice Chair Murray, members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify this afternoon to provide a voice for the people in Western North Carolina. More than 21 months ago, Hurricane Helene unleashed an unprecedented amount of rainfall on the Blue Ridge Mountains, causing severe flooding and devastating landslides. The storm left behind tens of billions in damage. In December 2024, Congress responded by approving a disaster supplemental that provided billions of dollars to Western North Carolina recovery. Additionally, North Carolina's state government stepped up by committing roughly $2.4 billion in state appropriations and redirecting more than $2 billion from state agencies for reconstruction. But the Blue Ridge Mountains' challenging terrain has made it uniquely difficult for federal programs to operate, resulting in delays and inefficiencies. And there's still work to be done. Too many projects in Western North Carolina have stalled due to insufficient funding or because of financial shortfalls from expensive debris removal and rebuilding efforts. I greatly appreciate that President Trump and Secretary Mullen have empowered FEMA to more rapidly reimburse the state and local governments for public assistance projects. However, FEMA is only one part of the equation. The Environmental Protection Agency, Department of Housing and Urban Development, and other federal agencies play a key role in disaster recovery. And much of the existing disaster funding for those agencies has already largely been allocated. When I visit Western North Carolina, I see the impacts the delays in recovery have caused. Debris still clogs the waterways. Facilities that provide drinking water and manage wastewater have yet to be rebuilt. Most concerning, some homeowners are paying mortgages on properties that are still unlivable or yet to be rebuilt. Towns have been forced to embrace expensive short-term stopgap solutions just to carry out their most basic functions for their residents. In the small town of Beech Mountain, there is no long-term water supply. The dam and water treatment plant were heavily damaged, forcing the town out of compliance with state safety standards. And as a result, the state could be fining Beech Mountain $25,000 per day. Most repairs are needed so that the water treatment plant can function long-term. If funded, this process will take at least a year and require significant diversion of utilities and/or daily water trucks just so hundreds of residents will have to have clean drinking water during construction. 3 years is too long to wait after a disaster, and we can't delay any longer. Tourism, the lifeblood of much of Western North Carolina, has begun to rebound, but there's still far too many areas that are unable to accommodate the travelers they once welcomed. But I want to highlight a few examples of success stories to show how ample funding for the last disaster supplemental, paired with exceptional planning and project execution, made an immediate impact on our mountain communities. Last July, portions of the Blue Ridge Parkway reopened after 57 landslides struck 200 miles of the parkway. This Memorial Day weekend, Lake Lure reopened to the public after an incredible debris removal and refilling project. And I want to be clear that I fully support President Trump's request to replenish our munitions stockpile and strengthen our military. And I'm also appreciative of his efforts to provide economic assistance to farmers impacted by disasters and unfair trade.
Yeah, no money for recovery because Trump has to do illegal wars with Iran for Israel and for clout, and because he has to pay off farmers who are all rope maxing because he started the trade war with China, started the trade war with Canada, and they can't afford, and also is importing cheap beef. So, I mean, yeah, because of just the nature of our government and the way in which we fund things, it's just a not so sufficient bucket. We don't have a big enough bucket for all the natural disasters that we're going to be experiencing. Not to mention, like he said, the funding for all of these like supplemental organizations. I mean, well, not supplemental, but other organizations besides FEMA that help with situations like this, like HUD, like Housing and Urban Development and Health and Human Services, which is all being just like gutted, probably by Doge. Of course, he's a Republican, so he's not going to like talk about all the ways that Trump is fucking up. But yeah, Trump is fucking up in a lot of ways.
Efforts to provide economic assistance to farmers impacted by disasters and unfair trade practices.
Trump is that disaster.
However, to address the long-term recovery needs of Western North Carolina, more federal funds are needed. Every time I'm in Western North Carolina, people ask me to make sure that they're not forgotten. This is Congress's chance to remind them that we're serious about helping them get back on their feet. I'm deeply grateful to the members of the committee for holding this hearing, and I look forward to continuing to work with you throughout this whole process. Thank you.
Nice. Tara, congratulations on your daughter acing her LSATs. Congrats, congrats, congrats. You know, I love to hear good news. We're going to need a bigger bucket, yeah, to, I guess, get this water out. Now the DOJ is weighing charges against the ICE officer. They probably won't charge him. Let's hear a little bit more about this from a local news source. You got to go to local news. I know this kind of story isn't for everybody because it's kind of hyper local, but I do think that the example is important to understand as these climate catastrophes become more common, that like years later, even red states, I should say especially red states, are struggling with recovery.
This September marks 2 years since Hurricane Helene, and if you drive through western North Carolina, you'll see beautiful landscape, newly rebuilt buildings, and resilience. But look deeper, and you'll see a persistent need for housing and for hope. New state data from the Department of Commerce shows just how long recovery is taking. The Renew NC housing program for low-income homeowners received more than 7,200 applications as of January this year, and by the end of March, the state had completed only 30 projects. That is why a Western North Carolina nonprofit is pushing on, helping with housing. Jason Seidel is with Project Your Home. Jason, thanks for being here. You live and work in Western North Carolina. You've seen how far this area has come in terms of housing, but also the work that remains ever since you partnered with Camping World 2 years ago to get trailers into Marion. Give us a sense of what's happening there now.
Well, the reality is there's a lot of folks that are still unserved because there's a large gap between, folks that owned homes and then had insurance or were served by FEMA, and then folks that were renters. And they just didn't have the capacity or capability to be served. And so those folks are still looking for inventory, which many times doesn't exist, or they're looking for inventory, a place to live that was about the same cost as what they were paying before. And for most of them, it just doesn't exist.
Do you have an estimate about how many people are still using temporary housing provided by Project Your Home and what the action plan is to transition them out of it?
So we have a group of nonprofits, approximately 12 of us, that are all over Western North Carolina that are trying to serve these folks. And beyond even what we're serving, there's hundreds that are still in what would be considered temporary housing, whether it be still in campers or tiny homes, hotels, or others that are looking for just low priced housing solutions that many times don't exist. So the need is still extremely great. The other need is the fact that there are a lot of people that are living in homes that are just now, the bleeding has been stopped, and they're living they've got holes in their roofs, they've got mold and all these other health issues, and they're just coming to us saying, now I'm at a point to where I can address these things. What do I do?
Yeah, and along those lines, you're now observing kind of hand in hand a new aspect of post-Helene life, which is deteriorating mental health. What have you observed about the emotional toll this storm has taken now 2 years later?
Well, one of the things that I can say is we were really blessed to be where I'm one of a group of a handful of folks that worked with a program that was initiated by the federal government and then handed down to the state, which was called Hope for NC. And we were able to kind of become liaisons to give folks the things they needed, whether at the time it was a generator or whatever, to get them into a system to be able to see that they could receive free mental health services. And the reality is we had combat veterans that were coming to us saying this was worse than combat because this was their home and their people. And if a combat veteran was having, dealing with these traumatic events in a different way than even combat, then we know that our children and folks that have lived in this region just aren't equipped. So the reality is anybody that
I mean, that's really important to acknowledge, not the combat veteran part specifically, but that these events are very traumatic and they do leave a psychological scar on people. Not to mention, like we always talk about, that a lot of times people are unable to recover either in the same place that they used to live with the same level of like self-sufficiency, or in that place at all, and they just have to like move, and they become a type of like intra United States climate refugee. And in a time of social alienation being out of control already, like that kind of climate refugee, sort of like the creation of a mass amount of climate refugees like that, it's just going to mean that people become even more like, itinerant in their ways, not from working, but become more like rootless, and that there's even more like, I think, mass violence as a result of that as well. Say combat again. I'm a veteran of the posting wars, obviously. That's not true.
Lives in Western
Internally
North Carolina
displaced,
that
yeah.
experienced this event is suffering from PTSDs and things like that.
That's hard to hear. One of the early partners in your efforts was NASCAR legend Greg Biffle, a civilian pilot who flew search and rescue and then joined you in providing ground support. You and I talked about him as you were heading to his funeral last year, and you vowed then to continue his mission and his message. In what way have you been able to do that?
In a lot of ways. One is just simply be like Biff, right? Like every day, what would you do? What did Greg Biffle do? And that's an easy thing to do, right? Just do what's right by human beings and run in when other folks might be running out. The other thing is to continue his legacy by providing some of the funding solutions and fundraising for organizations that he supported to give back to him and the things that he did.
And Jason, thank you so much for your time and continued effort. If you had one message to send to people who are in Western North Carolina and just feeling hopeless and helpless right now, what would you say to them?
Two things. First thing is, for the rest of the world, we're not fixed yet. We're still not done. We've got probably 10 or more years. And for the people of Western North Carolina, link up with us. We're here for you. We do care, and we're trying to make some headway and continue the recovery efforts.
We appreciate so much your insight and all your team is doing to ensure Western North Carolina is not forgotten. Jason, thank you. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, crazy stuff. But, that's just an inevitable consequence of the 24-hour news cycle and the fact that people are constantly careening from catastrophe to catastrophe. People just get this false sense of resolution, right? Because Hurricane Helene is just out of the news. And so unless you're directly impacted by it, you just kind of have this implicit belief, I think, that like, well, it must have resolved in some like comprehensive way. A lot of people just don't realize how many communities in America have been left behind by the holes in our public sector and inadequate recovery efforts. And that just because they fall out of the news doesn't mean that they've like fallen into some sort of better condition, or they have, I guess, been sufficiently recovered. Fallen into some better condition. I'm always trying to make some kind of play on words. Goddamn parallelisms. Not parallelograms. I love parallelograms. But it's just true. And it's not always natural disasters. Sometimes it's mass shootings. Sometimes it's some other type of catastrophe, like a train full of polyvinyl chloride that derails. But it's also important to understand, too, that a lot of people in America cope about the inevitable climate catastrophe that's going to hit America by engaging in lesser evil politics framed around like America's recovery being better than places in like, let's say, for example, Southeast Asia, where they just as a country have a lower GDP or less money. And what they don't realize is that all the money in the world doesn't stop there or doesn't create political will. In fact, sometimes it's in fact counter related to how much political will the country has to actually mobilize those resources in pursuit of helping people recover from natural disasters. And I think we saw with the pandemic that the United States, despite having tons of resources that it could theoretically use to mobilize and help people, just does not have the political will or really the political anything to get that effectively utilized. And so I think that Americans are living in some ways in a little bit of a delusion when it comes to our preparedness for the climate catastrophes that are going to hit this country. And a lot of that is, I think, predicated on them believing that there have been sufficient recoveries for the ones that have already happened. Not those of us in Appalachia. Too bad. Lots of people here are in a cult. Are they in a cult of J.D. Vance? Who doesn't love a good rhombus? Uncommon Merganser says there is 30% of the public that is gullible enough to make not believing in climate change part of their culture or religion. They are not going to change their mind no matter what. Well, they're going to switch over to being geoengineering conspiracy theorists. That's already happened. That's always been my theory. Like, there's going to be a point where a bunch of people who were saying, I can't believe people think climate change is real, or like I should say global warming is real because look at all of the snow, to I can't believe China used their space lasers to stop it from snowing. And it's going to happen overnight. And it's already happening. Mud flood. Mud flood is different. Mud flood is the whole, like, there used to be a secret civilization and all of our buildings belong to them. We haven't watched a good mud flood video in a while. Tens of thousands of residents in Northwest Indiana are still without power after last week's storm. But this is a little bit older than the last video I saw saying that that's not true. We'll have to kind of wait till tomorrow, I think, or later today to get a full accounting for how much of Indiana has actually recovered their power. Over 2,000 emergency teacher certificates approved in Oklahoma. Is it because they just don't have any teachers there? I love Tartaria. It's one of my favorite new conspiracy theories. It's like one of the dumber ones that I've heard so far. Should we do something fun? I think I've been scarring you a lot this morning. We could do something fun, but doing something fun is limited in options to one of really two things because I'm not really sold on the third so much. And it's, well, you know what? Maybe we will just do this Tim Pool with George Santos video. I'm just so interested in it because I just saw the new Spider-Man movie, and this one is about Marvel. And I know you guys love Marvel slop. No, we can't do Pro yet. The Pro video is special. It's too early for the Pro video. Let's see. I'm just so curious. I truly don't understand why Tim Pool has George Santos on his show all the time now. Because like I said, this video doesn't even have 10,000 views. It really is quite weird that he insists on having him on all the time because Tim Pool does get more views than, let's say, a Ben Shapiro, and they appear to even be organic, but not when he has George Santos on because George Santos is just like an adjudicated and convicted fraudster. It's so weird. I mean, like I said before, thought that it must be just because he was hoping that the SEO on this guy's name would benefit him in the algorithm, but no. I guess they're just like friends. I guess Tim Pool is just friends with this like scammer. I don't get it. Maybe he's a fun hang. I bet he has crazy stories.
Most shows have like a third grade reading level and they have a laugh track.
So I'm going to go back and make
just tell people when to laugh.
I'm going to make another Thanos reference.
Oh, he means generally. I thought he meant like episodes of his own show because he said most shows have like a third grade reading level, but there was no preamble to that in this video. So I just assumed he meant like most Tim Pool shows. He like snapped and I got kicked off. Am I back? Can you see me? Am I here? Have I disappeared forever? Pour one out for your main man. I think covering Tim Pool literally makes my internet like collapse sometimes. They're like, you've been really over leveraging Tim Pool. But like I said, I just don't understand why he has Santos on this show. And even this whole topic is so 2014. This is like a decade and a half old movie. And they're talking about like Thanos snapping. Even Marvel shows aren't even about that anymore.
Is it?
Because what happens after you get rid of half the population?
I don't know.
They come back.
Yeah.
Yes.
They never came back in Avengers.
They reproduce, and then you could double your population of any life in one generation.
And by the way, did you read this?
I just want to stress this again. The concept of Thanos being like, I'm going to wipe out half of all life. On all those planets he went to where he killed half the population doubling is easily accomplished in one generation. So it's like he's literally doing nothing.
So here, okay.
Just sounds bad.
Fair. Okay.
Sounds bad in a comic book.
Yeah.
The thing about the whole 4 billion people by 2020.
Well, in the comic book, it wasn't because we were overpopulated. In the comic book, it was because he was horny for Lady Death. And if you saw her silhouette in that robe, you would be too. But like in the comic book, it was a whole different reason. But I guess Tim is right. It's a conversation that you don't really even need to have, especially when you consider that like a lot of these planets where he was wiping out life, they probably weren't even mammalian. And other types of creatures have like offspring even faster than we do. Like imagine how quickly like a fungus creature type would reproduce if half of them were gotten rid of. It would be very quick. So I mean, he's right, but it's also like a children's movie, and so it's the kind of thing that's meant to appeal to children, like he said.
Okay.
Sounds bad in a comic book.
Yeah. The thing about the whole 4 billion people by 2200, is that the number? Is they're not accounting for
Wait, you mean in
mitigating.
decline?
They want to cut it in half. The global.
They want 500 million.
Well, no, they really want 500 million, but they just put it out.
Yeah, they just put out that they want a reduction in population.
Okay, yeah, this whole conversation is low frequency. I don't care. I thought I would care for a little bit, but I don't even understand why he's on the show. What if George Santos played Spider-Man's friend Ned in the movies? Only sounds bad in the comic book, yeah. Maybe we will do Pearl. I mean, are we ready for a music break? We haven't watched a Pearl video in a while, and I've been on the lookout for ones with the hope that they would be good. And this one looks amazing. So good that I almost don't want to waste it in the middle of the show, but I'm very much excited for the whole thing. So maybe we will watch it. Okay, maybe we will watch it. So Pearl has a new video out where I guess I don't want to spoil it for you. I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to show you it. I can't even describe it. Let me show you what I mean.
What's up, guys? Welcome.
To acoustic guitar.
My coffee talks, but I'm kind of playing on a guitar.
Yeah. So this one is entitled "Lying, Cheating, and Stealing Gets You Ahead." Let's go. I hope she plays that song from Boy Meets World that girl writes when Eric dumps her. You're shallow.
I was thinking about how it's no wonder that people lie, cheat, and steal. Like we live, when I was growing up, I lived.
Shout out Eddie Guerrero. R.I.P. to a real one.
In a very high trust society. And I've sort of watched like the fabric of society just change before my eyes, where, you used to give people the benefit of the doubt, right? And now you don't. You lie, you cheat, and you steal to get ahead. And I think working in media in particular has shown me that really, like, truth is not rewarded. Being honest is not rewarded in this society. And you just lose so much money when you're honest, and you deal with so much reputational damage. And I'm not trying to make myself a victim in this. Obviously, I picked this life, but it's very blackpilling. Do you know what I mean? It's like you watch women that just lie, and they lie constantly all the time to everybody. They have no good faith. They're not charitable. They're bitches. Just get rewarded with money, attention. And you see this, I would say, too, as a mid, right? With beautiful women. Like, you watch them just chance after chance at love after being terrible to men, right?
Pearl is just really very confusing to me sometimes. And I just don't want to any conjecture about anything, but she just hates women so much. And I just never hear her talk about men really at all. Like, not even what she likes in a man. She just like hates she hates men too. It's so much. Yeah, Freebird.
Women, like, you watch them just chance after chance at love after being terrible to men, right?
And this is actually exactly what it's like to go to an open mic night where someone's about to play their breakup song. It's just usually not a girl. It's usually like a guy. And they're usually about to like play about their ex. This is like the opening skit to a Theory of a Dead Man album.
Right? With beautiful women. Like you watch them just chance after chance at love after being terrible to men, right? You'll watch like a porn star become a preacher at church. And I think this society has sort of like turned low, like high. It's turned people that are naturally good, bad, because you just watch people that are bad get rewarded over and over again.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'll tell you how I learned this. So when I was in England, in 2023, I got really famous, really quick, right? And I realized that this fame, in a way, was a lie. Like I was only famous because I was a woman talking conservative talking points. And I realized this because I saw one of my male counterparts, Terrence Popp, 30-year veteran, way more accomplished than me in every way, more intelligent, but I get all this opportunity and I'm like, wow, that's not really fair. And I would watch these guys that have been doing it longer not get placed.
Have we listened to this guy who she's like doing this whole documentary about and this like deadbeat dad fund, like this Terrence Popp guy? I don't know if we ever looked into him. I'm not really very interested because Pearl to me is very funny, but she seems to always be talking about him and she never has him in any of her videos.
And I'm like, wow, that's not really fair. And I would watch these guys that have been doing it longer not get placed on shows. And I would watch men like Michael Knowles and like Matt Walsh make a ton of money where they get all this fame, all this power, all this attention. And the guys, being honest, just get kicked off. And eventually I got kicked off of all platforms too. And it's like, it's almost blackpilling to watch weak men and women be rewarded constantly. You know, Michael Knowles brought on a porn star onto his platform instead of, I don't know, a divorced Iraq veteran who fought for this country and saved 500 men from suicide. Like,
Okay, well, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. If you gave me the option of hanging out with a porn star or what did she say? A divorced Iraq war veteran who lost his wife and kids, I'm going to pick porn star 100,000 million times out of that many times again. Because any sane person would prefer, right? Who the hell wants to hear that shit? What's going to do? Come on and whine?
Knowles brought on a porn star onto his platform instead of, I don't know, a divorced Iraq veteran who fought for this country and saved 500 men from suicide. Like, seeing that over and over again is just so blackpilling, even if I'm the one to benefit from it. Like, I benefit from it in a way because I'm given more opportunity because I'm a woman. But, you know, it doesn't make it right. And I think this has just kind of frustrated me, like, over and over again watching this. And it's no wonder that the world is so, like, dark in a way. It's weird because you go out and people are happy and they're smiling, but in a way the world is kind of dark because I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I'll walk around and I'll just see a crackhead, like, pulling a branch.
You mean Mike Lindell? She's like, I'll be walking around and I'll see Mike Lindell just going crazy on a street corner talking about how he was the victim of voter fraud in his election and I'll have to go across the street.
I don't even know how to describe it. Like, I'll walk around and I'll just see a crackhead, like, pulling a branch and sharpening it like a knife. And I'm like, wow, I didn't see that growing up. And then I'll see somebody that, I'll see someone like cheat me out of money, right? That's happened to me so many times over the years. I've had stuff stolen. I'm like, wow, you know, I came in, maybe I shouldn't have been so stupid. In a way, there's no virtue in being dumb, but like, I I can't even imagine people that grew up in the 50s and the 60s growing up, because you guys must have just seen society have this like 2-parent household and just completely decimate and obliterate. Because I think at least the first half of life, women had to be less terrible because they wanted to get marriage and the kids and all that stuff. But now, like, there's not even an incentive for women to be good the first half of life. Because I'd imagine they ruin your life when the women hit like 35 or 40, and that was, you know, they filed for divorce or whatever.
This is why we need like more rules around music. She's like Hobo Johnson. Just play the song.
And you know what else blackpilled me? Like how quick women were to throw me under the bus. I had a friend, and we were like friends for 20 years, right? And I'm over it now because I think she's kind of nuts. But regardless, like women that I'd been friends with for years. Like one girl, I used to drive hours to go see her. I think I took one of her finals for her. Like my family took her on vacation all the time. And the second there was a little clout involved, she like throws me under the bus for attention, clicks, likes. And I would just see this over and over again. So many women I was friends with do like thinly veiled threats against me. And again,
is she not gonna play?
You guys.
Oh,
this
come
isn't
on.
to like feel sorry for me, because obviously I chose this life. But it's just very blackpilling, like to watch men or hear stories of men in the military who like basically sacrifice their entire life for this country, and one woman tells a story, ruins their life. And I'm like, how do you watch this system that just constantly rewards bad behavior and not be like demotivated and black-pilled? You know, I'm like, how is anybody white-pilled in this economy? And then you get the churches who are also the scum of the earth. They sell that their religion is the solution. And then their religion just has weak men and whores in it.
Jesus.
And this isn't to say that, you know, I'm so great and it's not like I'm perfect, like I'm, you know, but
Gosh, if we were in a comic book, Pearl would be a supervillain. Like these would be the kinds of videos they played on the news before like a bunch of buildings downtown just exploded into like a really weird pattern. Like a bunch of churches or something.
it's not like I'm perfect, like I'm, you know, but you like to think that when you're a bad person, you're punished, and when you're a good person, you're rewarded. So, you know, I had a cousin who was a crackhead, and he ended up dying because of crack. And while that death was sad, and I was pretty sad at the time, it kind of made sense because I'm like, well, he did crack, you know? But now we're watching crackheads be like treated like kings and queens and just mentally unstable women. You know, I just did a debate the other day. And in the debate, there's like this moderator. And no offense, he's probably going to see this, but he didn't really
Patrick
do his
Bet
job at
David.
all. Not at all. Because the
Oh
women,
my God, was it Patrick Bet David again? It definitely was.
there's like this moderator. And no offense, he's probably going to see this, but he didn't really do his job at all. Not at all. Because the women were personally attacking me, being bitches, right? Even the Anna Kasparian debate, you know, she's personally attacking me. I don't do it to her. And there's like a reward for
What the fuck is she playing with? It sounds like she's trying to like, I don't know, clean up a giant Jenga set with her feet. It just sounds like she's messing around with a bunch of like wood blocks.
There's a reward for them to be terrible people. Candace Owens too. And you just see these women being like bitchy, naggy, terrible people and just rewarded constantly over and over again. How do you not get blackpilled? I don't know how anyone isn't like blackpilled at this point. So, so I don't really see any of this getting better. I think society's just going to go into a slow decline, as sad as that is. Yeah, and I don't know if there's much you can do about it because the genie's out of the bottle. So, anyways, all right, guys, I love you. Thanks for watching. I guess maybe donate, but I don't know. This is just, yeah, I don't know. All right, I'll see you guys.
Chuck. Pearl is like literally the protagonist of Fight Club in real life. I think she's transcended past even incel. Like she is like the protagonist of a Chuck Palahniuk novel is just crazy. Like she is one step away from being like Tyler Durden. I'm still mad she didn't play though. Gosh, and I'm missing those whiteboard videos. She has to do another whiteboard video. Existential crisis, yeah. She is the void, yeah. I actually just watched Thunderbolts the other night because Florence Pugh is in the new Spider-Man movie. I didn't really enjoy the new Thunderbolts. It was kind of all right, but it was mostly just really long. That's 5 minutes of my life I'm not getting back. Well, you know what? It's still content. Pearl is literally upset at how the market decides who's famous and who's not. I mean, but Pearl's content is, I don't think, for everybody. I think we can enjoy Pearl's content because of how like ironically terrible it is, but it's not so hard to understand why most people wouldn't want to watch that, right? Even most of you didn't want to watch that. But don't you feel enriched? Oh yeah. We didn't do this cop video that I wanted to cover yesterday. Definitely trigger warning for domestic violence, but it's talking about police officers getting arrested. So I think, you kind of could have guessed just if I had said that. But what drew me to this story is, well, it's out of Chicago, but also because it's the officer with the most misconduct complaints in CPD current tallies. And he's only now just behind bars for attacking his girlfriend. This is the kind of people they have on the street trying to protect and serve. Yeah, I'm black-pilled now too.
The I-Team first exposed Officer Joseph Vecchio as part of a group of CPD officers accused of unlawful traffic stops and searches in the near North and Gold Coast neighborhoods 2 years ago. Now he's in Cook County lockup, charged with a brutal attack. The night of August 18th, a woman scaled down her third-story O'Hare apartment balcony to find a neighbor and call police. Bleeding and bruised, she told investigators she was escaping her boyfriend, Officer Joseph Vecchio. Vecchio had punched and strangled her, kept her from leaving the apartment, and threatened to kill her by cracking her skull, according to court records. Now he's charged with a felony count of aggravated domestic battery. After viewing photos of the woman's injuries, a judge ordered Vecchio be held behind bars until trial, finding this CPD officer poses a real and present threat to community safety. Vecchio has been relieved of police powers, but is still on the force, according to Chicago police.
He's got to pop out then.
The I-Team first learned of Officer Vecchio's name investigating dozens of drivers who say they were unlawfully stopped and searched by the 1863 Tactical Team.
Better start listening. What do you mean I better start listening?
In lawsuits, drivers have accused the team of racial profiling and violating their constitutional rights. The city and officers have denied allegations of wrongdoing in court. Police records show in his 6 years working for CPD, Vecchio accumulated 76 complaints, including allegations of unjustified traffic stops, arrests, searches, and unprofessional conduct. More complaints than anyone else in the department, according to internal city records. Half revealed findings of misconduct, according to the city's police oversight body.
I am now calling.
Wow. So what's the point of an oversight body if a cop can be found to have, well, if half of these, 72 claims were, or 76 claims, so 38 claims can be found to have some form of misconduct. What's the point of an oversight board? There's no consequence for misconduct. Yeah, because this is crazy.
Revealed findings of misconduct, according to the city's police oversight body.
I am now calling the board's August meeting to order.
At a Chicago Police Board meeting last week, it was announced Vecchio is now facing termination.
The chief administrator recommended that police officer Joseph Vecchio be discharged from the Chicago Police Department.
Oh, now.
Recommended discipline against Vecchio in several cases, and in one, the police superintendent agreed Vecchio should be fired.
The superintendent agreed with the recommendation to discharge Officer Vecchio from the CPD.
Now, the I-Team found Vecchio has been named in 19 lawsuits filed against the city since 2024. He's also been twice accused of domestic violence. In addition to Vecchio, 4 other members of the 8-person 1863 unit were relieved of police powers after the I-Team's initial reporting.
So Mark, he now remains in jail until his trial.
He will be held behind bars as a threat to public safety, according to the judge.
That doesn't surprise me at all. He's a police officer. Like when the anchor said it there, you could tell they were uncomfortable referring to a police officer as that, right? Not to put, any kind of body language or discourse analysis into play here, but you can see how uncomfortable they are to have to say it about a police officer, even though it's been adjudicated, like officially, like this guy's a threat to public safety, because they're just not supposed to say that when stuff like this happens, when cops are just, under investigation for something like this. But yeah, you can hear it.
He now remains in jail until his trial.
He will be held behind bars as a threat to public safety, according to the judge.
No way. No way. Oh, they settled already? Meta has settled with the states in the landmark social media addiction trial? That's crazy. They were just starting it. Wow. I mean, I guess I wonder what happened. Let's check it out. I want to see what they settled. Breaking. We're going to stop addicting your kids.
Live first, let's get right to breaking news. Meta has reached a settlement in a landmark social media trial. 29 states accuse the social media giant of designing its apps to get children addicted and misleading users about their safety. Meta called the claims unsubstantiated and says it's created strong protections for teens. Now a new settlement agreement will require the tech giant to pay at least $12 billion and up to $17 billion over the next 10 years. It also forces Meta to make major changes to its apps, eliminating or changing features the states claim got kids hooked. ABC's Elizabeth Schulze is here with some of the details. Hi, Elizabeth. What do we know so far?
Diane, this is a big moment when we think about how these claims have been brought forward against Meta over the design of its apps, the claims that they were designed to get young users addicted. We have now learned that Meta has reached a settlement with 51 attorneys general. That's 51, a bipartisan coalition. Just 3 states are not included in this. The territories are also included, that will require Meta to pay up to $17 billion over the next 10 years, and that perhaps even more importantly and significantly, when you think about these apps, they will have to make changes to how these apps operate. Now, part of these changes, I'm just going to read through some of the changes in the list here, Diane. A default daily time limit of 2 hours for users under the age of 18. A ban on displaying numbers of likes or reactions to users under age 18. A ban on cosmetic procedure image filters. The option for some users under 18 to have a non-personalized feed. That is significant because that gets at algorithmic changes with these platforms. So what we're looking at here is an agreement that effectively concedes that some of the design features on these apps got young users addicted, and the states had claimed that that contributed to harming the mental health of these young users, and now Meta will be forced to make these changes. We haven't yet heard from Meta on this settlement agreement. Meta had previously said that the claims that these states were making were unsubstantiated, and they pointed to the protections that they've made when it comes to protecting young users on the platform. But this is a really big moment here when we think about some of this legal action taking on these social media platforms, Diane. We have seen these cases, 2 already major cases play out so far this year, but this one was a federal trial involving a lawsuit filed by 29 states' attorneys general. A huge moment when you think about the dollar amount here in this settlement, up to $17 billion.
That's like no money at all for Meta, especially if it's like strung out over 10 years. And of course, everyone in the chat is saying it. The danger here is that this becomes an excuse for increased amount of overreach on social media sites. And you know how I feel about that. I really don't think that that is the solution, that like to actually solve the issues that we're having with whatever they're claiming the issue with social media is, like addiction or radicalization. I think that has to do a lot with the current cultural and social circumstances Americans find themselves in. But I think that's also the case for like why we'll never be able to get to a real solution for a lot of these places, which would require, I think just at this point, a lot more government oversight and a lot less just like empowering these corporations to be arms of the surveillance state. But that's the only solution that like most people are going to be willing to advocate for, making the social media sites arms of the surveillance state more effectively. But they were already doing that, right? This is just veneer, or will become a veneer, to expand that project, give them even more legitimacy to demand that you turn over your ID or whatever. Work on your B-roll.
But the fact that Meta is acknowledging that it will be making changes to how some of its apps operate too, Diane.
And I want to bring in ABC News contributor and
Use
Google Tech
Instagram.
Policy Fellow Mike
Use
Muse on that
Instagram.
point. Mike, talk about the significance of the two things Elizabeth just mentioned, the dollar amount here, but also the changes that Meta is now going to have to make.
This is really huge in Meta, and not only just for this case, Diane, but actually for future cases that they may be facing going forward. I look at this as Meta trying to get ahead of it to avoid future lawsuits. What they're coming to the table with, and not just a dollar amount, but changes. They have already begun to make changes after this lawsuit was first filed to their teen accounts. But what they were looking at was the possibility that the jury might not have bought into it enough, that Meta did enough in order to protect teens, in particular the harm that they have caused prior to the actual change being made. So what this is doing now is Meta is acknowledging it, saying, look, we made changes to our teen account to automatically default teens into our account. But now what we're going to do is we're going to work with state attorneys generals going forward. We're going to be collaborative in the ways that we can actually go even further in order to protect children.
Yeah.
What that is signaling is that for anyone else who possibly may have a lawsuit,
We're gonna work with the government to go even further to track your teens and you online, because that's the only solution. The only solution to the problems that the digital companies that comprise the social media space that they've caused themselves is to take away your rights. And that's just the truth of a lot of the, I guess, solutions to problems caused by corporations. The only way to solve this problem with these companies acting immorally in pursuit of extra money is to give them more power, to reach into your private lives. This is funny, right? Because it's going to be like a punishment for you, even though they were the ones who did it.
To protect children. So what that is signaling is that for anyone else who possibly may have a lawsuit they're thinking about or pending, Meta will have on record saying, look, we've made all the changes that you've asked for. The attorney generals agreed to this settlement. They feel confident and secure that Meta is doing enough at this current time in order to protect the teens. Not only that, Diane, but they were facing $1 trillion. And so facing that amount of money just within this lawsuit alone, with the potential of other lawsuits coming on the pipeline, it was more economically feasible in order to do this. In particular, as Meta is really looking at their cash flow. Cash flow is really important for these tech companies currently right now as they invest and double down into data centers, which are extremely expensive to build and to operate in order to produce other future products for artificial intelligence. So I think this was a way past.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. They're going to be scanning your face for AI. They're going to be selling your face scans to the government to integrate with Flock. They're going to be able to tell exactly where you are at all times, what you're posting online. I mean, they're building it right in front of you. It's so crazy. It's so crazy how this is all happening just like live and in real color.
Forward for Meta to be able to keep their cash flow, to work in conjunction with attorney generals, and to possibly preclude future lawsuits from coming out of the pipeline that they're not doing enough for children's safety.
Elizabeth, what are you watching for next? Could this impact go beyond Meta?
Well, for sure. And, one thing that's notable in the release that we got from the California State Attorney General's office is that some of the conditions to change these apps, they say that, for example, Diane, the default time limit for young users, that it would be 2 hours for people under the age of 18 on the apps. But if other social media platforms agree to similar terms, they say that daily time limit will drop to 1 hour. So we're going to have to report out more details on that. We're going to reaching out to other tech platforms.
Yeah, global integration of all of your social media profiles. Wow. So they can tell exactly how long you've been online and what you're posting too. Ain't that just the way? Is there more foodborne illnesses happening in America right now? Well, no, it's just a follow-up video. That was some costume out of Target yesterday. I don't really use the internet for social media anymore. I'm actually excited that I've been able to construct a YouTube channel that hasn't really involved me having to be on Twitter for any real length of time. I sometimes post some of the videos on there, but I don't usually bother to be on Twitter. It's really gross. But obviously a lot of people don't feel that way. Oh yeah, the measles outbreak. Why don't we jump over to that? I almost totally forgot that was literally in the title of this stream. I was never really into social media, except for when I was kind of depressed after grad school and working on getting in media for the first time. And then I was on Twitter all the time. But even back then, people were like, Twitter is terrible now. Twitter is like way worse because it's a lot more popular. So you had all the Twitter hipsters. But certainly Twitter has never been worse than it is now. And I never go on there anymore. I think a lot of people, maybe even especially the Twitter hipsters, are still on there, like, because for them it's been bad for a really long time. So it's just another wave of that badness. But as somebody who was like a kind of later adopter, but still at a time where it was maybe popping off, it's just hard to be on there and see all the terrible ideas. It's just not for me. I prefer hanging out in our Discord. In fact, why don't you all give the stream a like and a subscribe? Where even are we now when it comes to the number of subscribers? I don't want to say I don't care, because each and every one of you is important. But to be honest, I'm not like desperate to go to the moon or anything like that. But each and every one of your subscriptions is important to me. So are your thumbs up. Twitter reminds me of MAGA. Twiddler. MySpace is supposed to relaunch and be back to the basics. Oh yes, the measles. The measles. So 2 people have died in Pennsylvania as a result of the measles for the first time. Well, for the first time this year, 2 people have died of the measles. And for the first time in 35 years, people have died of the measles in Pennsylvania. I don't know if America has lost its measles elimination status yet. It definitely has. It definitely is going to. If it hasn't already, it is going to, just by nature of how many cases there have been sustained for the last few years. The UK lost their elimination status, I think, like 2022, 2023, but we're definitely going to lose ours. Not that it really even matters. I mean, I guess technically we're not even in the WHO anymore or anything, so I don't even know what it matters what our status is globally. Who even's tracking it?
We start the day's other headlines in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, where health officials say 2 people, both unvaccinated, have died from measles. No further details about the individuals were provided. They are the first measles-related deaths in the U.S. this year, which is on track to be the worst year for measles cases since 1991. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro today warned about the severity of the outbreak and the rise of misinformation regarding vaccines.
There's real-life consequences to scaring people and not relying on actual doctors and actual medical professionals to provide unbiased information to parents so that we can make reasonable decisions for our kids.
The governor added that he spoke with U.S. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has pushed to revise the nation's approach to vaccines. Shapiro says he was, quote, blunt with him about the rhetoric coming from government officials. The Trump administration is threatening to demolish the Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. if its plans to...
Yeah, we just heard. No. Let's hear more about these deaths. I have another video from like a local Pittsburgh affiliate. The demolishing the Kennedy Center is very funny to me. John Deere 3486, thank you for the super chat. I just noticed that some of them aren't going through. Let me reload this thing. There is literally a Chicago police torture archive as a result of a lawsuit against one cop, John Berg. Attack of the Nerd, thank you for the subscription over on Twitch. 3 months in a row, a whole quarter. Just Les, sorry for missing your previous super chat. Thank you for the $4.99. What about the extra benevolent rich people of North Carolina? Isn't the expectation for them to trickle? Oh yeah, they're trickling all right, but it's like the pee down their leg onto the heads of the poor. Call sheet, there's a bet for that. Yeah, CBS News Pittsburgh. It's crazy. I mean, he says you have to trust medical professionals, but the truth is RFK Jr. is a medical professional. He's the head of Health and Human Services. And so for all intents and purposes, he's one of the highest medical professionals in the country. And so, like, it's not so simple as to be like, you can't just listen to him. But that's the danger of how far gone we are, or, you know, how far down the line we are with this, like, I guess, assault on expertise, assault on our healthcare and our public health care infrastructure. Like, we're just really far gone. Like, RFK Jr. is the metastasization of that particular, like, phenomenon. He's not the beginning of it. Like, he's there because people already believe this stuff, and that's why he's, you know, he's been put in such a high position.
Pennsylvania has announced the first measles-related deaths in decades. Both were in Lancaster County, the first in the state in 35 years. And this has state officials outlining efforts to stop the spread. Josh Taylor has more.
The governor and the state health secretary gave an update earlier today on the outbreak of measles in Pennsylvania, and they're also stressing the importance of preventing exposure to measles and why vaccination is important to stop the spread.
And just this morning, the Pennsylvania Department of Health announced the first 2 measles-associated deaths in Pennsylvania in 35 years.
Governor Josh Shapiro was in Lancaster County today with state and local officials giving the latest information on the measles outbreak in Pennsylvania. Since late April,
I wonder if that has anything to do with the Amish population. I mean, Lancaster, Pennsylvania is the largest concentration or the largest Amish community, or near the largest Amish community in the country, right? It's not a separate Lancaster. So, like, that is a large population of people who I believe are largely unvaccinated. I only think that, though, because people like RFK Jr. are always talking about how they're unvaccinated and yet they don't have issues like this. But it is important to understand that there are large populations in America that are unvaccinated for, like, legitimate religious reasons, if you believe that that's such a thing. Not to mention undocumented immigrants coming from other countries who, because we don't want to integrate them into our system, can just be walking around unvaccinated. We have a lot of vectors by which people might come into contact with, like, unvaccinated people. And so it's just really not good that suddenly we have a wave of additional people who just don't want to believe in vaccines for no reason. Well, I shouldn't say no reason, because like I said before, there's a complex overlapping set of reasons that relate to people being alienated from our healthcare system for generations by it being mediated through private companies, as well as just the erosion of our, well, public health care infrastructure in general, but also just the erosion of our ideological framework for understanding why public health care would be something that we really need, because we don't believe in communities or anything like that. So since we become more antisocial, the idea of having a public healthcare infrastructure has just made a lot less sense to people, because, well, if I want to sneeze and I'm in a room full of other people, maybe they should just, like, stop breathing or whatever. And so I think we've really set the circumstances by which, like, disease is going to really flourish in the United States of America due to, like, decades and decades of just getting people, you know, geared towards not caring, not being able to care, not affording to care.
Officials giving the latest information on the measles outbreak in Pennsylvania. Since late April, nearly 400 cases of measles have been confirmed.
The Amish do get vaccinated, just at lower rates. Some do, some don't. Well, I mean, I don't think they get vaccinated at the same rates that, that the broad population usually does.
In Pennsylvania. Since late April, nearly 400 cases of measles have been confirmed across 28 counties, including 1 case in Allegheny County. And Health Secretary Dr. Deborah Bogan,
we can just look it up. You guys are going to spread information, so I'm just going to look it up.
Confirmed that every one of those cases was someone who was not fully vaccinated.
And the department is working with partners across the entire Commonwealth to respond. Just like we did decades ago, we can prevent the spread of measles, but it takes all of us now working together to do that.
The state health department has held 91 vaccination clinics across the state this year, and 40 more have been scheduled in the...
Okay, according to Google, only about 1 in 4 Amish individuals in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, are vaccinated against measles. They don't have high vaccination rates.
coming weeks. They also confirmed that within the last month, providers across the Commonwealth have administered 35,000 doses of the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine, otherwise known as MMR. That's 10,000 doses more than what's usually done in a typical month.
Pennsylvanians are now stepping up, and I want to say thank you, and I also want to let you know we need to keep at it. We're not out of the woods yet.
And the governor, state and local officials and experts are all stressing the point that while this disease is preventable, it's also serious and deadly for vulnerable groups like infants and the elderly.
These tragic deaths remind us that measles is not a harmless illness. Our focus now must be on the families who have suffered unimaginable.
It's so crazy to be, I think, a society that is so, well, America has an issue with having to be amnesiacs because ultimately speaking, if you don't forget the past, if you're not ready to forget the past, like basically every 4 years in America, you're going to be punished and laughed at and alienated by all the people who make you feel like it's unreasonable to hold people to things that they said 2 years ago, 4 years ago. You know, they're failures from that point because we just don't have the luxury of having the kind of system where we have options to care about things that far in the past. And, you know, a lot of things spiral out from that particular core of a society that because we don't have any accountability, we can't really have a memory. And so I do think there's also this just complete lack of understanding about like how bad these diseases were, despite the fact that, you know, people in living memory have had measles, not a lot of them, I don't think, but like not an insignificant amount. And so like the idea that we just aren't able to remember stuff like that, like, you know, it reminds us that measles is not a harmless disease. Like, why would you ever think that it was? The United States of amnesia. Yeah, like, you know, memory is a quality that is necessary for like accountability. It's not the only quality that's necessary for accountability because a lot of people can acknowledge things but never actually take, you know, any real steps towards any kind of, you know, material consequences for whatever they're acknowledging or like some kind of real practical solutions. That was the Democratic Party strategy for a while. But also like a lack of memory is very helpful for a culture that doesn't want to have any accountability, because after a while, remembering things just becomes like too painful, because every time you remember something that a person did that was bad, you know, the media just tells you, well, you don't have any choice but to vote for them anyway. So you might as well just forget what they did. You might as well just forget about it.
And the elderly.
These tragic deaths remind us that measles is not a harmless.
People have already forgotten COVID. Like we had COVID. People have already forgotten COVID.
Infants and the elderly.
These tragic deaths remind us that measles is not a harmless illness. Our focus now must be on the families who have suffered unimaginable loss and on the steps we can take together to prevent additional illness and death in our community.
Now, we also reached out to the Allegheny County Health Department to find more information about that one case being treated here at UPMC Children's Hospital. They provided no updates, but they did tell us in a statement measles is a highly contagious virus and 2 doses of the MMR vaccine provide the best protection. Reporting in Lawrenceville, Josh Taylor, KDKA TV News.
Yeah. MMR stands for mumps, measles, and rubella, in case you were wondering. I figure that's pretty... I'm pretty sure that's pretty common knowledge, but you might be wondering. And if I'm not mistaken, Trump separated out in his new like vaccine recommendations, executive action or whatever, he like separated out the shots because people were concerned about it. Yeah, it's a real shame. You know, it's the kind of thing that people shouldn't really have to have a reminder of. But by nature of the fact that we are in the United States of amnesia, people have to be reminded of things that happened, like personally, they have to be reminded of them, you know, every 4 years or so now. Every generation, people have to rediscover germs. Rubella, is that the stuff they add in to spinach mix? That's rucola. Or rugula. Ricola. I got whooping cough a few years ago. It sucked. Pioneer diseases are back, baby. Maybe that should be one of the merchandise things that we do. Since I call it the brand wagon, it should be me like on the front of a covered wagon and then like covered wagon. And then underneath it can say, you just died of the discourse. You just died of discourse. CMOC says separating the MMR is what Andrew Wakefield was promoting because he was patenting the individual vaccines. Isn't Wakefield the British guy who was like basically the father of modern like anti-vaxxer misinformation? License to print money, Brandon. You're just trying to get me. You're just trying to get me in trouble. You're always trying to get me in trouble. Oh yeah, Ted Cruz is trying to run interference for data centers. Can you believe it? Yeah. What? Ranchers? Jolly Ranchers or Monster Ranchers? No, cattle ranchers. Well, I mean, we just covered the new revelations out of East Palestine, I think, 2 days ago? But another story came out from News Nation, I think, about even more, that sheds even more light on the amount of pollution and the types of pollution that they were subjected to. So I don't want this to just fall to the wayside. So I thought we could just, do another catch up, if you don't mind, especially since we're talking about all the disasters that we have not properly recovered from. Should we do another Russell Brand video today? I kind of want to watch that.
It said the truth always comes out in the end, and one can only hope that is the case for residents of East Palestine, Ohio. More than 3 years after their town became synonymous with environmental disaster and government incompetence, it appears the truth is finally coming out. It all started in 2023 when Norfolk Southern freight trains derailed while carrying a cancer-causing substance called vinyl chloride. Norfolk Southern advised that it was safer to do a controlled explosion of the train cars rather than risk them exploding on their own. But safer for whom? Residents said they started experiencing debilitating health issues almost immediately after new details shared with News Nation now show the possibility that those side effects could have been avoided. People are upset. In documents obtained by the Government Accountability Project, models projected show just how far the toxic plumes from the explosion could actually reach and just how many people they put at risk. But the biggest problem is those forecast models were reportedly never shared publicly with residents who could have been affected. They were instead undisclosed by state and federal officials. News Nation investigative correspondent Rich McHugh has been covering this story since the very start. Rich, you've read all these documents. What did you learn from what the modeling showed, and why did state and federal officials keep them secret?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, Elizabeth. What I learned is that they knew right from the get-go that there was a serious situation on their hands. They knew what toxins and chemicals were in the train cars. The EPA sounded the alarm. They asked federal officials for help in creating plume models that would show how far the toxins would spread if by accident these things blew up, and also if they did what they call the controlled burn, how far people would be affected. But here's the thing, as you say, they never shared any of those concerns with the public. It was a ghastly sight, the plume of toxins stretching into the sky over East Palestine, Ohio.
You didn't have to do this. You did it because of time and money.
Smothering the region. It was February 6th, 2023, 3 days after the initial Norfolk Southern train derailment, when officials decided to burn 5 tank cars full of vinyl chloride over East Palestine. That plume, the subject of intense debate. Thanks to a whistleblower and documents obtained through the Freedom of Information Act, we know that 2 days prior, the EPA asked IMAC, that's the Interagency Modeling and Atmospheric Assessment Center, to help with projections if the toxic chemicals in the train cars were released.
The EPA asked the FEMA organization to actually model the plume results from East Palestine train derailment. And those results were modeled initially. They were very bad. There were several thousand people that were going to be harmed, killed.
The plume models estimated that burning the vinyl chloride could put nearly 1,900 people's lives in jeopardy, and nearly 1,800 more face risk of serious injury from toxic gases like phosgene and hydrogen chloride, dangerous gases that form when vinyl chloride burns. And the models mapped a danger zone which stretched roughly 20 miles east into Pennsylvania.
All these different federal agencies, including the EPA, including FEMA, including DOD, ATSDR, Department of Energy, and others, knew that people would potentially die, but they didn't tell anybody. They kept it amongst themselves.
And this information was never released to the public, and I think that is egregious.
What's more, these plume models were based on incorrect assumptions that only 16% of the vinyl chloride remained in the tank cars, when in fact over 70% of the vinyl chloride remained.
Now, it would be fine to do that if in fact you realize you made a mistake and how much material was there, but they...
Honestly, you can say whatever you want about China, but, and I'm not trying to advocate anything, I'm just telling you, like, the way China is. If this happened in China, they would put the CEO of this company to death. I'm just telling you, they would. I mean, first of all, I don't believe that this would have happened the exact same way, but had it happened like this, or even a fraction of the way it happened, they probably would put that guy to death, just point blank. And I think probably that's maybe a little far, but I'm just saying that that's just the case.
Remained in the tank cars, when in fact over 70% of the vinyl chloride remained.
Now, it would be fine to do that if in fact you realize you made a mistake and how much material was there, but they knew. So there's no reason to reduce the input term so you can reduce the output term, which was casualties.
Despite this, on that fateful February 6th, officials still ordered a vent and burn, deliberately releasing and igniting the chemicals.
We have decided that controlled release will occur today at 3:30.
That day, there was no mention of these federal plume models. In the joint press conference, Ohio and Pennsylvania governors Mike DeWine and Josh Shapiro referred to the modeling done by the Ohio National Guard. These simpler models you see on the screen, no mention of the federal plume models done by IMAC. They set the evacuation zone at 1 mile by 2 miles, a fraction of the roughly 20-mile hazard corridor the federal models projected.
Those in the red area are facing grave danger of death if they are still in that area.
On February 8th, less than 2 days after the burn, they lifted the evacuation order without testing inside a single home for contamination.
They allowed people to go back to their houses knowing that there was a severity of toxic chemicals that were released in the atmosphere.
A month later, the EPA stamped those models close hold, not for public release. None of this was ever made public. What's your reaction to this?
I mean, it's heartbreaking that lives didn't matter anymore than for the government to put these decisions into the hands of Norfolk Southern. It's like now human lives are just a cost of doing business. Like, who cares? Let's just kill thousands of people.
Jamie Wallace says now, 3 years later, the cancers are happening. She's keeping a list of recent cases.
We have 84 people with cancer, and 14 of those are brain cancer.
Brain cancer?
Brain cancer. Where's our government now?
Now, the DOD has not responded. Neither has Ohio Governor Mike DeWine's office. We've asked for comment from everybody involved. The EPA did respond. Their full statement is going to be on our website, but they say in part, these models were based on worst case scenario, which the people in this story dispute. At the end of the day, Elizabeth, this comes down to a public's right to know. You know, if they are in harm's way, they have a right to know and make decisions on that, and they were not told in this scenario.
Even if it was a worst case scenario.
A right to know. I don't think you should be allowed to do this at all. Like, you should have to clean it up properly, right? Like, a right to know. You have a right to know if you're going to be poisoned. That's what I mean. Acknowledgement is not the same thing as like some kind of comprehensive, like, you know, policy or something. Like, you have a right to know. Like, you have a right to awareness of like poison gas cloud about to be unleashed in my neighborhood.
They deserve to know if they are in that plume, that red warning. Rich McHugh, once again, great reporting. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your...
Yeah, this was affecting profits. This was delaying other trains and affecting profits, is what Common Merganser is saying. I'm sorry, Uncommon Merganser. That's absolutely crazy. You're going to get brain cancer. Thanks. Thanks for letting me know. Thanks for letting me know about that brain cancer. That was a very like chewy protein bar I just had. Ew, what? Tempe school surveillance officer charged with voyeurism. I don't need another yellow dollar sign. Surveillance officer. Why does a school have a surveillance officer? Like, what does that even like? Do schools have surveillance officers? I haven't been in a school in a while. Just seems like they just like let cops in schools. They surveilled the kids. Well, obviously, but is that like a type of a normal police officer? Professional kid watcher. Yeah, but he was doing it like on his own time, so he got arrested. He was too in love with the job. Kid watch general. They're gonna give those guys drones now. Yeah, we have to have AI watch the kids. They won't goon to them. I'm actually very curious about this. School employee arrested, but like I said, we don't need another yellow dollar sign. Phoenix police conducting audit of entire South Mountain precinct. Oh, so it's like an entire precinct that's going to be disbanded in Arizona. They seem to have they have a lot of cop problems in Arizona. But we don't have time for that today. We've had enough cop problems today. Yeah, let's just jump over to, well, I guess the primary, the South Carolina, the South Carolina primary last night for Lindsey Graham's open seat. Darlene Graham, his sister, who survives him, has won despite her little gaffe about the about our relationship with Taiwan and the South China Sea. But she supports the military, so it's fine. Yeah, let's just do a quick little update from our man Steve Kornacki. They don't care about, I mean, she was right about that. They don't care about
at NBC News.
They don't care about like what's going on in China. I mean, it's not great because our government is definitely like caring and like trying to expand our military industrial complex's footprint into the South China Sea. I mean, we're already there, obviously, but she is correct that like her constituents really don't care so much about that. A lot of Americans don't care about that. That doesn't stop their government from putting billions and billions of dollars into doing that, right? In fact, because they don't care about it, it oftentimes makes it easier for our government to do that. But yeah, I mean, that's probably exactly what most of her constituents think too. Like, well, I don't care about no China.
And NBC News projects Senator Darlene Graham wins the South Carolina Senate primary special runoff election against Congressman Ralph Norman, replacing her late brother, Senator Lindsey Graham, in the November ballot. She's now going to be facing off against Democrat Annie Andrews in November. Let's bring in Steve Kornacki on the big board to walk us through those results. Steve, we saw them developing here. Lots of big numbers coming in over and over again for Darlene. What'd you see?
Yeah, look, I think you look at this map, and I think one thing that jumps out right away is we said coming in, this was a test of the political clout of Donald Trump with the Republican electorate. And I think you can make an argument here that Trump put Graham over the top in this race, because not only does she win tonight, obviously, but if you look at where that win came from, it came from places like Horry County, where Myrtle Beach is, and where she's getting nearly 3/4 of the vote tonight, right next door in Georgetown County. This is another pretty big county. She's getting nearly 70% of the vote right here. And then all through, they call this region here in northeast South Carolina, the PD region. It's the 7th congressional district if you're sort of a political a political hobbyist and you follow these things. But this was the area and this was the region that the Trump folks really targeted. They sent Trump here last Friday trying to shore up Graham's campaign, and they sent him to Myrtle Beach. That's where the big Trump rally was for Graham. It was all about trying to maximize her number in Horry County, which is one of the biggest in the state, and in this whole area right here, in Georgetown County and in the PD.
I had a good funnel cake at Myrtle Beach once. My family's from South Carolina. Well, at least part of my family's from South Carolina, not near Myrtle Beach, actually near Columbia. But yeah, I had a good funnel cake there one time when I was hanging out with my cousins.
And what you see in county after county there tonight is that is where Graham didn't just meet her expectations, didn't just meet her benchmarks. She exceeded them tonight. And that is why
I'm telling you, dumb guy fetishism. And also, like, Darlene Graham is the choice of a lot of different parts of the population. I think most importantly, Donald Trump and the Republican Party establishment and the donor class, they'll look at her like a completely empty puppet that can be, wielded by whoever, essentially wants to, right? Donald Trump is going to have a big say in what she votes for. The K Street lobbyists who are friends with Lindsey Graham's staff, who is now her staff, is going to have a big say in what she votes for. She's just going to be another blind vote for the Republican Party machine. And like all of the worst excesses of the, special interest lobbies that like are already ingratiated with her staffers. And so it really will just basically be like having Lindsey Graham there. Ralph Norman is also like not so like anti-Trump either. They were both just like, competing for, a seat that would have gone, I guess, towards Republicans anyway, and likely would have been like operated as if Lindsey Graham was still there. I just think that for Republicans, it's just nicer to have somebody like with Donald Trump. It's just nicer to have somebody who doesn't really have anything in their head to get in the way of you getting whatever you want from them. Like they love when people like Dianne Feinstein is dead or when like Joe Biden is brain damaged, because that's the worst part of being like a staffer for one of these politicians, when they have ideas of their own that get in the way of like getting things done. That's the worst part of, working with them if you're a lobbyist. That's the worst part of working with them if you're like a foreign agent or something like that. They have their own ideas. And so because she doesn't have her own ideas, it's perfect. It's perfect. I don't know nothing about anything. The perfect politician. She might be president one day.
You take a look at this map. You do see Norman strength up here in the upstate, and there's an awful lot of Republican votes in Greenville, in Spartanburg, in the Rock Hill area. That's where Norman is from. But he did good numbers here. He didn't exceed expectations here. Graham exceeded them down here. Norman didn't up here. And I think that's the difference statewide, and that's why she's going to get through this runoff.
172,000 people voting for her and 150 for Ralph Norman. Again, like voter turnout, pretty impressive, at least to me.
People, like, apparently Republicans thought that she might lose. The Republican Party machine thought she might lose after that answer. I never had a doubt that she would win in this particular primary because, like, Republicans just don't care about stuff like that. They love when their elected officials are proudly ignorant.
Here, any idea how things are possibly going to go when it comes to the midterms after 4 elections? I imagine election fatigue is in effect there.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. But I think one thing we can say certainly is that Graham, yes, she will now face a Democratic opponent. But the backdrop for this is it's in a state that voted for Donald Trump by nearly 20 points. And we just live in this.
Exactly. South Carolina is not going to go blue. At least not that again, this is not the kind of show where we cover American political elections very closely in this way. But in my opinion, South Carolina is not going to elect a Democratic Party senator. Lindsey Graham would have been reelected if he were still alive. Sir Jevel, thank you for the $5 super chat. Horry County, South Carolina, Myrtle Beach is filled with retired NYPD officers and snowbirds that don't want to pay taxes. Exactly. That's the core voter for the Lindsey Graham Memorial Project. Didn't even name the Democratic nominee. It's somebody. I'm sure they would name him if I let them keep going. Or maybe not. Also, they still love, well, I guess no states love Trump anymore, but they're not going to vote Democrat. But you never know. Things could get a lot worse, right? Like, I am not of the opinion that people in America are so ideologically motivated to ignore their own material conditions getting bad. I think it's just really a spectrum of how bad things have to get and what really do you see as a legitimate option for like what to do after that. I think most people are not going to like pinch their nose and vote Democrat if they're like a lifelong Republican, but I do think that they will stay home or they will just lead an insurgency in their own party. And so I do think that like when it comes to Republicans, there is just a chance that they totally implode. and then have to reinvent themselves again. But Texas is huge. Also, people in South Carolina are crazy. Texas has a lot more, I guess, diversity of like, I guess, not crazy people. Yeah, blue South Carolina myth. Ooh, a thunderstorm warning. What should I get for dinner then? Have a night in, watch something spooky. Maybe I'll even make more clips. They can become Jeb Bush Republicans. They won't vote at all until 2028 or 2030, when the new insurgency in the Republican Party, led by Thomas Massie and Marjorie Taylor Greene, and supported by certain media figures that they still respect, like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, starts to run people in the Republican Party with their approval. And then they go like, okay, now I'm ready to vote Republican again, because the past 4 years or 6 years of Democratic Party mismanagement has like made me forget exactly what Republicans are like, right? Because we live in the United States of amnesia. Because if you remember things for too long, you're inconvenienced. It's like history is an inconvenience to Americans, because you're not really allowed to have any accountability in our society, really, for people in power. So if you remember it too much, eventually someone who you think you should hate is just going to be on MS Now having a conversation, and they're not going to even address why like this person's allowed to be on that television. Like, we just watched George Santos on Tim Pool. Like, no one even mentioned the fact that he's you're punished for remembering things. I say that all the time. And, you know, I'm not joking. And it's just a natural consequence, or not natural, but a strategic result of a society where accountability for people in power is just not possible. And so, like, remembering is something that's just disincentivized. Tug and Tubin, like, yeah. It's very deep. I think it's Nietzsche. Something about like memory being a prerequisite for like accountability, or like people who have no memory, something, you know, having no sin, something stupid. I don't read a lot of Nietzsche, but you know, I'm adopting it for a society that has a culture of unaccountability that has to be like underpinned by a lot of different like levels of propaganda and, you know, essentially like belief. Like all of the different ways and why and how accountability becomes impossible. Well, you shouldn't even think it's possible. And if it is possible, it would upset the entire social order. And if it didn't upset the entire social order, shouldn't you worry about the impact on this one person's life? They have a wife and kids. And if they don't, well, blah, you know, just constant levels of like how we can and why we can never have accountability. And I think the first levels, of course, like, well, you know, just don't even remember, like, don't look backwards. That's what Obama said. Like, don't remember. He literally looked at you and he said, we don't remember. And everyone was like, oh, he's so deep for saying that. He looked at the camera and he said, like, turn your brain off. And everyone was like, oh, I love you, Mr. Obama. And upwards, not backwards. Let's do this Barron Trump thing. Is that what you guys want to do? Did you see the latest press conference where Todd Blanche said he's not going after Epstein criminals? Is that what I read in the chat? I'm kind of like splitting my eyes in two directions to try to look at my tabs and also read the chat like a chameleon. I did not see that, but it doesn't surprise me. Like, they're doing a cover up. Don't let the PBD boys fool you. I know it's easy because they're so convincing and so like eloquent and articulate in their ideas. But like, they're just doing a cover up, the world's worst, most obvious cover up. And because we have a society with no accountability, like, there's nothing that anyone can really do. Like, Thomas Massie won't release the Epstein files, right? But they're trying to pass that additional law, right? I think it's crazy. I think the whole situation is so disgusting, obviously, and so just like, not to borrow a word from Pearl, but blackpilling. And you can understand why people are going crazy and no longer believe in any kind of like formal institutions for justice. And I say people, but I mean like how that's becoming a more commonly held belief, to the point where people are engaging in vigilante justice of one form or another, or having other forms of like mass social violence that's a result of just no longer feeling, you know, hinged, because this stuff is going on in broad daylight. Literally, it's the worst cover up. It's Pam Bondi gave people folders that said Epstein files release phase 1, the most transparent administration in history, and then 6 months later she said there is no Epstein files. Like, that's the level of cover up that we're engaged with, that they're engaging in. And because, like, our media just can never like really say what's going on, they can only just ask a bunch of like leading questions and then look at you with like shoulders shrugging. Like, people are just left out there like in the wilderness going like, what the hell is happening? But it's super transparent. No one believes that like we're getting the full story. What they believe, I can't say. It definitely ranges, but like no one believes that we're getting the full story. And that knowledge in and of itself is enough to erode people's faith in like the idea of justice, which is all that, justice really is. People agreeing in the idea of justice in mass enough to follow the law. Prairie Fire Neb, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. The legalized marijuana party of Neb candidate has Nebraska. I was like, Neb, is that the name of the host of Catfish? But that's Neve. The legalized marijuana party of Nebraska candidate has dropped out to back independent candidate Osborne. The cattle associations are backing Osborne now. Congrats. You might be able to touch fuzzy, get dizzy. Well, actually, that means like doing psychedelics, but you might be able to like get yourself into a sticky situation in Nebraska soon. I'm excited for you. They banned like weed in Texas. That's harsh, brother. Super harsh. It's not harsh? Like, my 6-pack is coming back. It's nice. It'll probably be nice and well defined in a few weeks. Then I'll feel too skinny and I'll start to like overeat. 10 years per gram in Texas. Wow. There goes your economy. It's overrated. Do you work out every day? No, that'd be crazy. I lift like 5 days a week, and then I do cardio like 2 or 3 days a week. Rutro, another reason to never go to Texas, along with all of the natural disasters. I bet I still outrun you. Go ahead. You can outrun me all you want. I live for like an hour a day now. I'm not really trying to get too, well, I mean, I only have to lift so much to, stimulate my muscles the way I want to stimulate them. And then I just don't eat a lot. So it's not the biggest deal. I'd spend a lot of time doing the stream and preparing for the stream and doing edits for the stream. And so since I don't really eat that much, it doesn't really make sense to do a lot of like working out. What's your cardio routine? I bike everywhere, and then I do steady state, low intensity treadmill walking because it burns and isolates fat the best. Wait, are you lifting for show or for go? Is that some sort of sexual thing? Because I did just watch Miasma. Do you overhead press with the barbell? Sometimes. So like 3.0 on an incline. Yeah. So like if you're going to do low intensity, steady state exercise, you're going to really be targeting a heart rate of between like 60 to 70% of your max like heartbeats per minute, because that's going to be your ideal fat burning zone. And so the easiest way to get into that zone, in my experience, and from other people's accounting, is to walk at an incline of between like 8-ish incline to whatever height you really want to go. But honestly, above 12, you're going to have a hard time going fast enough. Around like 3 to like 4 miles per hour, sometimes faster, because obviously the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. But it's mostly about targeting the right heart rate, because that's where you're going to find like the best like fat burning zone. I'm really good at overhead pressing. I can overhead press a lot. I think the most I've ever overhead pressed was 215 pounds, and what is that, like 90, maybe like 94 kilogram. But if you're going to do like low intensity, steady state exercise like that, you're going to need to do at least like 20, 30 minutes a day. Well, I mean, not a day, but at a time. That's the cardio I do most of the time. Besides biking, obviously. Good tricep workout. I mean, a lot of things are good for your triceps. I just do the normal stuff like tricep cable push downs and like kickbacks. I like cable kickbacks. What else do? I do close grip bench press. I might stop because that's just a lot. I mean, I only do bench press once a week, so I usually kind of just do close grip to get another bench press day in. But I don't know how much I feel it, but I do like it. And sometimes dips. That's basically it. I don't like skull crushers. I never really feel it. I mean, I personally don't like them. I've seen other people do them all the time. Do you jump rope? Not usually. I can jump rope. I'm pretty athletic. I'm just really lazy. So you go to the gym to press, then you come to stream to depress. That's why I'm literally dressed in what I was wearing to the gym. I didn't get a chance to do anything before I jumped in front of the stream. Can you make a free throw? No, I can't ball. Okie dokie. I guess we will just do this Barron Trump bounty story. So Iran has sicked Dog the Bounty Hunter on Barron Trump. No, that's not right. I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't joke. I guess people are saying that Iran has put out a $10 million bounty on Barron Trump, which, I mean, they just say stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know how much I believe that this is like a real bounty, so much as it is like a joke that like American media and Trump wants to take seriously so that they can justify like trying to get people on their side for the war. But I'm going to tell you right now, even if Iran put a bounty on Barron Trump, basically no one would care, because everyone is just mad about this war. And we did kill all of those people over there. So like, I don't think that if this is some kind of propaganda effort, people will really care. Ooh, okay. So I have a few options for you about where we watch this from. Do you want to check this out on a real news channel, or do you want to check this out on Sky News Australia with that like Rita Panahi lady? Because I mean, both. Okay, let's start with CNN first. I know you're going to say that's not a real news channel, but we'll start with Wolf Blitzer first. And then we'll check in with like what's going on the new Sky News Australia, which is now just News 24, mate.
Overnight, a very disturbing new threat from Iran. State TV in Iran aired a video that appears to place a $10 million bounty on the life of Barron Trump, the president's youngest child. The video even shows locations where the 20-year-old is known to spend time. I don't want to even mention those locations. The Secret Service says it is aware of the threat, but won't comment for security reasons. Joining us now is Leon Panetta. He was the defense secretary under President Obama. He was also the CIA director and formerly a member of Congress.
Damn. He's looking bad, though. He looks like literally droopy dog. Leon Panetta, where did they dig up this corpse?
President Obama. He was also the CIA director and formerly a member of Congress. Mr. Secretary, thanks so much for joining us. At any given time, the president and his family are among the best protected people in the world. But how concerning is this latest Iranian public threat and the apparent bounty on the life of 20-year-old Barron Trump?
Well, I think you have to take these kinds of threats very seriously, especially if they did it over Iranian TV.
That was their side.
It's crazy for them to even try something like that, because that would probably result, without question, in an all-out war. And so I think the United States is going to have to take that threat seriously. But I also think Iran needs to be aware of the consequences of doing anything like that. It is definitely not in their interest.
Because the way that video on Iranian state TV aired, it seemed to suggest that perhaps a supporter of Iran...
It's a shame they won't play the video, because I won't play the video if they won't play the video, because they'll definitely take my stream down for playing some kind of like threat against Barron Trump. But I do think it's probably just like a joke. I mean, not like a joke that you could legally say isn't actionable by like the American law enforcement if you were to make it. But I don't think Iran is actively trying to put out a bounty on Barron Trump. I mean, I think that mostly they're just trying to embarrass Donald Trump and make him feel the same kind of fear that he's trying to make them feel. And of course, people are going to say, like, American pearl clutching around, like, being subjected to even a fraction of the terrorism they subjected Iran to is not sympathetic, and I think we can agree about that. But a lot of people imagine it should be because they don't really fully understand like just how much terror we've rained on the Middle East, and this makes it seem like they can actually be like a real threat against us with some kind of like sleeper cell situation. Carrie Shaw, thank you for the 1999 super chat. Iran must have watched The Beekeeper. I feel like Iran probably has a lot of beekeepers. That seems like a very intellectual hobby. They're going to hack the flock cameras. They're going to like put somebody like stationed at the bottom of his beanstalk so that when he comes down...
Supporter of terrorism in the United States.
Oh my gosh, Trump would never false flag his own kid. Israel might false flag his own kid, but Trump would never false flag Barron. Trump would like false flag Don Jr. or Eric for sure. He might false flag both of them, but he would never false flag Barron. No way. He loves
Go
Barron.
out
Look
and
how
try
tall
to
Barron
kill
is.
Barron Trump and then get a $10 million reward for doing so. Is that the way you understood it as well?
Wolf, the threats we've gotten from Iran are very similar.
Do you think that they take the threats more seriously now? Because remember, Trump had to be snuck out of Turkey in some kind of like cartoon-like scheme that put him in the bottom of like I don't know if you call it like a catering hand dolly. And so like, do you think that's because like they've accepted that Iran is actually dangerous now? Because the president gets threats all the time, but it seems like the threats from Iran are actually kind of making them afraid. And I can't help but wonder if that's because like internally they have accepted that Iran is just a lot more dangerous, because despite what they've said to the public, they know that they've lost the war. And so obviously they've underestimated Iran in the past. And so I think that it'd be very easy to understand Trump being a little bit more wary because, ultimately, if they've underestimated Iran in the past, they might underestimate their ability to do things like this.
That the word goes out that individuals here in the United States might be the kind of terrorists who might attempt.
God, this guy is boring. This guy's old and boring as hell, brother. I mean, Jesus, I apologize. Let's just hear what the Australians have to say about it, because they're going to freak out proper. Like, yeah. They might actually play it. Yeah, let's get it, Rita.
Welcome back. It's time for Lefties Losing It, and it seems communist cretin Hassan Piker has found a crowd even more contemptible than him.
Oh
Here
my gosh.
he is being booed.
Oh my gosh, Hassan Piker. He's made it all the way to Australia. What's he getting booed for? What do you think he's getting booed for?
Saying America didn't deserve 9/11.
America does not deserve 9/11. That's my
Wow, he can't win. That's crazy. You just can't win. You can't win with Americans.
And then Hassan and the hateful mob sang a song mocking Charlie Kirk, a man who had many debates with Piker. Hassan knew him. By all accounts, they were civil and friendly to each other off the stage, and yet...
It'd be crazy. I would actually feel really jealous if he started singing Shine Bright Like a Charlie and passed it off as his own song. I would kind of be like low-key mad. I know it's not like, I think they just sing like We Are Charlie or whatever, like the We Are Charlie Nightcore remix. But could you imagine if he just started singing like Shine Bright Like a Charlie? He was like, yeah, me and my chat invented this. I'd be like, that's crazy. You didn't have to do me like that, fam. Shine Bright Like a Charlie's a banger, though.
By all accounts, they were civil and friendly to each other off the stage, and yet he does this.
Unafraid to die.
Now let's check in with the awfuls. You know them, the affluent white female lefties.
Okay, I'm going to skip to the Iranian part because this is just like, you would think there's nothing going on in Australia. I think their economy's like collapsing or something. Abdullah Sayed, damn, come on, bro. Don't you have anything to say about your own country? It's like they don't even care about. It's like they don't even care about Barron Trump being subject to a bounty. Oh, here we go. It's at the very, very end. They don't even care. They don't even care about Barron Trump.
Just 3 countries that are sanctioned by the U.S., North Korea, Iran, and Cuba, and we shall see what happens.
Well, on Iran, the Iranian state TV is at the moment broadcasting a video purporting to track the movements of Donald Trump's youngest child, Barron, who's only 20 years old. The footage purportedly shows Barron being tracked, showing the location of his university, escort vehicles and Secret Service posts, and alleging his movements were fully monitored. Kosher, they are claiming a $10 million.
Well, I mean, honestly, he's huge. It'd be impossible to miss him, right? Like, you don't even need to fully monitor Barron Trump. You can see him from miles away. That's like saying I have that giraffe that's like across the street from me fully monitored. It's like, just out of the corner of my eye, I got it. Don't worry about it. I'm not even like gonna miss it. Trust me.
Were fully monitored. Kosher, they are claiming a $10 million bounty has been placed on Barron. I mean, if they wanted negotiations with the Trump administration to be fruitful, this really isn't the way to do it.
No, they are flexing where they can flex. We've covered before the same thing with Melania and where she's shopping and all of that. And they are very good at information warfare and using sort of the psychology of information on top of everything else. They're certainly a formidable enemy to have. We can only hope that the Secret Service is doing its job. A lot of people are not very confident.
Damn, he looks huge. I was looking out of the corner of my eye and I thought they were all on the same kind of like plane. And I was like, whoa, is he really that tall? But obviously he's standing on a higher elevation in this particular image. But I was like, whoa, is he really that tall?
In the Secret Service, given their performance of late, but I'm sure
after what we saw in Butler, I think we're all a little bit nervous about just how.
That was in Iran. What did we see in Butler? No one even knows what we saw in Butler anymore. Oh, I wasn't even good. I want to see some more right wingers melting down about this. Where's like Fox News? I bet the PBD boys are going to be crying about this. The Jimmy Dore show. Does he hate that, or is he like in favor of that? Chilling. I'm surprised there wasn't like a Lego video. Butler. Yeah, they're not even dressing it on Fox News. They don't even care. They don't even care. You hate to see it. All right. Vinny in tears. Oh, that's right. I forgot that there's a new episode of Venting with Vinny. You just reminded me. Vinny in tears. I forgot there's a new episode with Venting with Vinny. Literally the best show to come out of the PBD sphere since Her Take. But maybe we've been watching too much PBD. What else do I have for news? Finally, some peak comedy. We need to spread awareness about men's hormones. Pearl puts out a ton of videos. He was celebrating. Oh, Tim Pool also has a video about Hassan's, but we've been really milking Tim Pool. The only thing else I have in the news category is more ranchers crying about the whole like beef thing. Kentucky, Colorado, and yeah, but we've watched a lot of ranchers crying. I do have this other, funny enough, Jimmy Dore video, but that doesn't sound good to me either. We talked about the Nepal earthquake and flood. That shit was crazy. Those videos are very traumatic, and I do not think that like showing them again is what people want. We're not going to watch Tim. I just said no Tim. You don't need to twist my arm. Oh my God, Dr. Phil is on Jillian Michaels' show. No, Tim, and we can't watch any more PBD except for maybe Venting with Vinny because we've been really watching a lot of PBD. And they don't even have a new episode. Good, perfect. I'm crying too. The cattle situation sucks, says Kowalski. Maybe we should go back and watch the PBD Boys interview with Andrew Tate from years ago and see if we could find any, like, I don't know, signs of something being amiss. What is he even talking about on the latest episode of Venting with Vinny? As long as I'm not going to get, like, super transphobic. You guys want to watch a little bit of Venting with Vinny? Ooh, this show is not doing well in the algorithm. Oof. Yikes. That makes me a little bit concerned. Can you finally do the Sid Meiler CBS interview? You actually reminded me. I wanted to ask you which interview you meant because I looked it up and I saw he did a lot of interviews recently. So yeah, maybe after that. Are we PBDing? Well, I mean, now that we have this video of Venting with Vinny up, I just find myself wondering, but I don't like the way he's looking at this man who's pointing to his own junk. I will say I think Venting with Vinny is a very Freudian show. It's a very Freudian show, if you know what I mean. 3.6K with this thumbnail. Yeah, people just weren't feeling this. Well, I mean, let's just check it out. Oh, that's the melody.
Best movies ever. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back, Venting with Vinny, and guess who's just blessed us with his presence? He's back, international man of travel, Humberto, who was gone for 2 weeks. You were in Chile eating chili. You were just flying around the world, gallivanting.
Had to deal with some stuff in the Congo.
Yeah, this guy, Humberto, like, if there was one person that worked at Valuetainment that you'd be like, he probably is a CIA asset or something. It'd probably be you.
Eric Prince sends his regards.
He says, what's up? Yeah.
No, Adam, obviously. Well, CIA wouldn't be the particular agency I would think of, but no, Adam for sure, right? You would otherwise wonder why he's even on the show. Clearly Adam. CIA Humberto. I would think that Humberto is a character in Spy Kids, the way he acts. Like, not like the CIA, but like the organization that Alexa Vega's character worked for.
Probably is a CIA asset or something. It'd probably be you.
Eric Prince sends his regards.
He says, what's up? Yeah. Because you speak how many languages?
Around 4.
Guys, Fed alert.
All
FBI,
over.
everybody, CIA. But he's back, and yeah, Humberto, we had to fill it. We had George was here for you, and he did a good job.
He did a good job.
His mustache was just on.
Greek guy. You're gonna have a Greek guy.
Oh, he had tzatziki. Afterwards, we went. I dipped, bread on his mustache.
Beautiful.
He was such a good guy. But yeah, we have so much. By the way, this isn't one of those serious. Because I realized, like, I'm venting, but at the same time, it's like, I don't want to get too serious. Because a lot of people are like, dude, what? This is like, I want to, like, if you vent, you're not venting about positive stuff. There's so much stuff that pisses me off, and it's very hard to operate and to try to be positive. You know that. It's hard, dude.
Very hard.
And we're on a, I'm on the PBD podcast. It's just
murder,
fraud, waste, abuse, murder. Lying, cheating, Fauci, murders, poisoning people,
kidnapping,
and nobody ever gets in trouble.
Jalapeno peppers.
Jalapenos are bad. Guys, yeah, what happened? I'm telling you right now, they're trying to poison us. Everything is bad. Last week, it was, 2 weeks ago, it was lettuce. The other day, it was something, broccoli. Now it's freaking blueberries. Can we eat anything? Is there anything that we can eat? Cows,
no.
Everybody, the deer are turning into zombies.
No, because of the private market, obviously, the thing that you support. Of course you can't eat anything because it's cheaper to poison you. Duh. If it's cheaper and more profitable to poison you, companies will do it. And they bought the government, so the government doesn't care.
Anything that we can eat. Cows, everybody, the deer are turning into zombies. What the hell are we going to eat? I think they're doing this on purpose, so we have to eat this lab-grown chemical nonsense. And I have a feeling, my hunch is, what's his name? Bill Gates is going to be behind it. This guy.
Of course.
This guy, man. Jalapeno salmonella outbreak. There goes Mexicans. We just lost 20 million Mexicans.
20% of the
maybe that's the way to get rid of. They're trying to kill Mexicans. They like illegals or whatever. That's how, guys.
That's how they're doing it.
That's how they're doing it with Mexicans. They're trying to kill you guys in your burritos. Be freaking careful and don't fall for it. Outshine fruit bars, poultry, the eggs, Taylor Farms iceberg lettuce, market side tomato, bisque soup, almond, coconut spread, pastrami. What the hell are we gonna eat, guys?
And it's all mostly healthy stuff.
It's mostly healthy, bro. Blueberry. You know I eat blueberries every day. I threw mine away today.
You did?
Hell yeah. What, you want them?
No, I don't want
They're freaking gonna kill you.
What a waste.
What a waste. Humberto, are they lying? I don't trust anybody anymore. So anyway, guys, we have a lot of crazy stuff to talk about. Some world records broken. Some people are happy. Some people are definitely not. Amazon is doing some fun things with their delivery service. There's a mayor in Massachusetts. Can barely speak English. You haven't seen the clip, but I love it. I sent it to Humberto because Humberto has a little bit of an accent. This guy he's my...
He can barely speak English. I thought that he was just doing a little bit of self-reflection there, but he meant the mayor can barely speak English.
But I love it. I sent it to Humberto because Humberto has a little bit of an accent. This guy he's my favorite because he's smiling because he knows,
Vinny's dressed crazy. Vinny's dressed like how Riley dresses in that one episode of the Boondocks when he's like becoming a kind of organized crime boss.
He was under the radar until he did some fraud and he got caught. Now he's out there.
I might run for office.
You might. I would vote for you. I'd vote for you. You're more
like Vinny dresses like a little guapped out black kid, complete with like the Crocs and everything.
Listen, you're more American
than
the average American. No, than a lot of Americans that I know. You're more American than freaking Hassan Piker and all these freaking losers. But I saw Fight Guys in Peru. Somebody's recording it. Great camera angle. It's one of the best fights I've ever seen. And I'm telling you right now, if Dana White doesn't sign these guys, he's done. It's a great fight. Another world record for the blob jump. I don't know if you saw it. These guys, you know what the blob jump is? They sit on this thing and people jump off and they launch this guy. Humberto, he was up there for almost 6 seconds of free fall air. It's amazing. Amazing story. But yeah, just a couple of stuff, guys. I want to have fun today. I miss you guys. Humberto misses you guys. I know you guys miss him. So
I'm having fun.
Let's get into it. And this is breaking, guys. This is breaking news. This came out today. The man with the world's smallest penis, okay, has officially, he's technically lost his title. And I love this New York Post title. World's smallest penis patient claims his procedure to make it bigger was a big success, but he still hasn't seen the results. And but look at this guy.
You gotta love highbrow content. Start with a little bit of dick news. I'm not going to even make any kind of, I already said this is a very Freudian show, so I won't make another comment about that. But I just love how they have to start with like dick news. You'll excuse me if I kind of just skip past the like dick news. Well, I don't know. I feel like we can't. Let's just hear a little bit about it.
I love this guy. I feel he's probably the best guy, probably the nicest guy, best talker. Like, I bet you this guy listens, bro. When you have that type of, like, and here's my question. If you have the world's smallest penis and you're meeting a girl and she's like, oh my God, you're so sensitive. He listens, he talks, he opens the door. How soon till you have to let her know? Because, I mean, it's inevitable. She's going to find out. When do you can't be at a restaurant first date and be like, do you want an appetizer? Yeah, we'll have the, shrimp cocktail. Speaking of that, listen, I have the world's smallest penis. What do you do, bro? Because you can't spring that on her after you've been with each other for a year. You're like, I'm celibate. And let's say he's a Christian guy. And then you just go, like, you pull down your pants and you just hear, boing, and it's just there.
Is that a reason for divorce?
Absolutely, because you're keeping it.
If he hasn't come clean?
Yeah, dude, you can't do that to a girl.
I'm just wondering how this got out there. Like, if I was this guy, I'd be the quietest, the most quiet guy.
But he's Guinness Book of World Records. So you know what that means, Roberto? He probably was like, I
gotta do it.
he's like, hey, Guinness, this isn't send somebody here now.
To this?
Yeah. Or
did you guys know that Vinny was like a stand-up comedian? I just always find that very hard to believe. I also find it hard to believe that Adam was a stand-up comedian. I kind of get it a little bit more with Vinny, but with Adam, not so much. I'm going to just get past this story. He's riffing pretty hard, but sometimes you got to get warmed up. I'm hoping that some of his later content's a little bit better. Yeah, I don't want to just hear more about people's junk. I'm sorry. Vinny's obsessed with other people's junk. He's going to pivot right into a WNBA story, I bet. Watch. He won't be able to help himself. Let's just jump forward. He's really going on this guy's dick, bro.
What?
Gone trans.
Yeah, I mean, but what? But he obviously loves
He
chicks.
could be playing in the WNBA.
Of course. Oh my God.
I mean, very true. Because wow, without the surgery, he could just be like, guys, that's not what you think.
I literally picked apart at random. Oh, he's so predictable. He's so easy. Nailed it. Swish. Okay. What else is going on? Is he looking at dildos now? Crazy. I can't believe people don't watch this show. Like now he's just looking at like female sex aids. Is this the fight video? Gosh, do I want to get my stream demonetized watching a fight video? A little bit.
One time. You don't know, you wake up, you feel like crap and whatever. Could you imagine you're having, and I don't know what this person's having surgery for. God forbid this ever happened. Umberto, play this. Guys, you're having surgery and this happens. Check this out. Go ahead, look. Bro, look. At least one guy's trying to hold the anesthesiologist. You're keeping the guy. What? Look, what? Bro. Oh my God. Oh, dude. All my luck, Humberto. That I swear to you, that is something that would happen to me. That's something that would happen to me. By the way, you know how many earthquakes, Humberto? How many guys? Have you guys been paying attention? You know, every time it's end of the world. I get it. Fires, famine, and blueberries are freaking killing people.
So funny.
Taco Bell's, diarrhea is getting worse and it's killing people. But the amount of earthquakes.
It's so crazy to just immediately center yourself in that situation. That's something that would happen to me. You're watching it literally happen to somebody else. He's so basic. Imagine an earthquake in Japan. Yeah, imagine such an event. So funny. Such a funny comment. I love Vinny. I love how simple Vinny is.
There's famine and blueberries are freaking killing people. The lettuce, Taco Bell's, diarrhea is getting worse and it's killing people. But the amount of earthquakes, Colombia, Japan, was there Venezuela, Philippines? It has just been
was there Venezuela
freaking horrible. And Jake was telling me about the templates, the plates, tectonic plates that are
the templates
all over and connecting, and it happens a lot. But dude, it has been freaking bad lately. Look at that. 98 earthquakes with 4.5 or greater were recorded last week. Holy moly, bro! That's the largest destructive magnitude, 7.4. That struck beneath Colombia, and Colombia's was freaking horrible, bro.
It was bad.
Oh my God! Bad. And bro, it wasn't just like and it always seems like it's always and these people don't have enough problems. It always happens in like the worst neighborhoods, the worst built buildings, the worst places. And did you see bro? I saw like $2 million houses where the kids were running out, and it's like everything was collapsing, scaffolding was falling on top of people.
It's always in the worst neighborhoods, but then you saw a $2 million house. No, it's like the Pacific Rim of Fire. It's just where there's a lot of tectonic activity. The continental templates. My favorite templates. There's no way we can watch all of this show. I feel like I'm having a literal psychotic episode. I'm just going to jump around. I don't think there's any rhyme or reason anyway.
Campaigning. And by the way, it's not like Lawrence. Can you look this up, Humberto? What is the population of Lawrence, Massachusetts? Is it predominantly, Dominican? Is it Puerto Rican? Is it white? Is it black? What is the demographic of Lawrence, Massachusetts? Because mind you, East Coast, there's a lot of Puerto Ricans. There's a lot of whites. There's a lot of, it's a mixed culture. I'm just, of Lawrence, Massachusetts. I'm very, very, very curious. Man just says 99% Dominican Republic. I'm like, okay, let me shut the hell up.
I'm gonna get some hate here.
Yeah, well, no, Lawrence, Hispanic Latino. There you go.
Oh, 81%. 81%.
81%.
That's right, Vinny. Okay, enough, Vinny. He's not slapping today. He's going a little bit wild. Oh shit. He's watching the cop fall video. Okay, maybe a little bit more Vinny. I want to hear Vinny's take on this particular video. As an excuse to watch the video again. This is a good one.
Anybody that's anti
people on the line of duty doing their job, what they need to do. And
yeah.
once you get the kicker, let's watch the video.
Okay. All right, show it to me. Oh my God! What?
I think some of them got really hurt.
So the door's open. They're trying to get inside the house. That guy moves forward. Dude, you get to, oh my God, bro. Oh my God. How many people?
I think
Dude.
11.
A baker's dozen.
Can you sue the apartment complex? You have to be able to sue the apartment complex.
Wow.
Look at this.
You should be able to hold.
What was the raid?
Oh, well, can I guess? Was it illegal? Was the guy illegally in the country?
Worse.
Rapist or a sexual child pedophile?
Yeah.
No way.
Epstein
What?
class guy. Donald Trump friend.
First of all, that it was an arrest warrant for Jacob Munoz, a convicted sex offender who had failed to comply with sex offender registration requirements, terms of his release parole. Weird. Sex offender. What does that mean? You obviously know what the hell that is.
Yeah.
Dude, that is insane, bro.
What does that mean?
That is
what do you
insane.
mean?
It looked really shady, them just standing there on it. Like, how many people were up there? Can you go back? Can you show the for the freeze frame at the beginning? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's another guy on the right. 8. Play it one more time, though, so I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
The whole thing went down.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 people. And let me see. I think there's more actually that happened. Dude, can you imagine that, bro? And all your gear and all your gun. Oh man, dude, that sucks. The guy on the right at least looked like he had a good drop. But damn, dude, yeah, that's not
good drop.
Fun. Oh, that apartment complex. But then the apartment complex is gonna say,
wow, joyless. Vinny is such a spoil sport. He's such a spoil sport. Amazing commentary. Well, people love this show. So happy you are back. Waiting for your pancake show. Got to keep that going. It is fun. I disagree. I disagree with that. Ooh, PragerU? No way. That's boring too. I don't want to hear Bill O'Reilly. Ooh, a little bit of lag there. Doot_Doot. Thank you for the 501 dip. Iran could not assassinate Barron Trump because they don't yet have the thermal scope and can't target his parasites. Oh, crazy. I thought you were making a reference to Eraser, where they have those guns that can shoot through walls like the Far Sight in fucking Perfect Dark. But you were, of course, referencing the Regenerator from Resident Evil 4. Tip of the fedora to you, my friend. Smash that like, obliterate that subscribe button. I feel like Brandon and Vinny would do a legendary show together. Yeah, I feel like he's too energetic for me. He would make me exhausted. Well, it's only 30 minutes until noon. What should we do? No. You said you don't want to watch Jimmy Dore. I can't blame you. The last time we watched him, he was arguing with Alex Jones. I wonder what Alex Jones is doing. Do you think that he's like agitating with Tim Pool more? Or do you think that he's kind of given up on that because Tim Pool didn't respond in a fun way? I definitely think he was trying to get a little, WWE action going. And he thought Tim would, want to join in because Tim Pool's numbers are probably also collapsing. So he was like, hey, one hand washes the other. No. Russia wins again. Oh, that's right. Bongino had a little bit of a collapse too. Did you guys see that? Bongino freaking out? I forget where it was actually. I should definitely pull that up. We definitely haven't watched Bongino in a while. Honestly, his show was even more manic than Venting with Vinny. Where was it? Let me just look it up real quick. I'm gonna just Google Bongino freaks out. See where I get sent. Oingo Boingino. Bongino freaks out. Oh yeah, epic fail. Dan Bongino's Fox News rant quickly turns into a devastating self-own. What is this from? Is this the right clip? I think it might be. Dan Bongino is I guess limited in his options of where he can be, because I'm thinking, was he somewhere else? But of course the answer is that no, Dan Bongino really can't go on many outlets because of his incredible involvement with the Epstein cover-up. So he really is just not able to go most places without being screamed at by people. Big up GameCube heads. Ugh, I love the GameCube. That might be my favorite console of all time, followed by the PlayStation 2. Let's see. Well, this cattle rancher looks really good, though. Do you want to see this cattle rancher I'm looking at? I know I'm getting distracted, but wait till you see this guy.
President Trump's move to temporarily waive higher tariffs on ground beef imports in a bid to lower prices for consumers, it's facing backlash. The CBS News price tracker shows the price of ground beef has increased from an average of $5.50 in January of 2025 to nearly $7. That's up more than 10% since last year. But the Minnesota State Cattlemen's Association says any price relief will be short-lived. And some Republican lawmakers have criticized the plan, including Wyoming Senator John Barrasso. He wrote this in a social media post, quote, "Americans want U.S. beef on the table, not foreign imports." For more on this, we're joined now by Justin Tupper. He is the president of the U.S. Cattlemen's Association. Justin, good morning and welcome. Help us understand why the president's move is facing backlash from cattle farmers in your part of the world.
Yeah, good morning, and thanks for having us. We're at the lowest cow numbers we've had since the 1950s due to a lot of factors, drought and economic factors that we have faced and not making money in the cattle industry. We finally turned that around, and we kind of are finally making some money. And now the government wants to bring in some of this foreign beef and make beef cheaper. So we do not agree. I think economic factors will be the driver in us building the United States cattle herd. And that's what we want to do, is raise the safest, best protein on the planet right here in America. And to do that, we've got to be profitable. And that's what we think we need to do, instead of bringing in foreign beef to cheapen up the beef we have here in the United States.
Yesterday, Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins addressed the president's plan. I just want to play some of what she said.
He is working to fill a gap, a pretty big gap in the supply chain from ground beef. Of course, you've all heard we have the lowest cattle herd number on record. That really came down under the last administration. The president felt very convicted that as American consumers are paying more for beef, not our fault, our administration's fault, but as they are, that short temporary fix was important.
So do you think the administration's plan makes sense here for consumers specifically?
We don't. The way that beef is bought in foreign countries or anywhere else, there's only 4 major packers, which would be the importers, that are going to bring that beef in. They don't have to make that beef cheaper. You can buy ground beef in a foreign country that doesn't have the same safety standards, doesn't have the same protocols, doesn't have the same ethical standards that we have here in the United States. That doesn't mean it's going to be cheaper. We don't think beef seems that high. When you see in relativity, yes, it has gotten higher, but so is everything else. The price of a pound of ground beef is about the same price as a big bag of chips or maybe your morning latte. So we don't think beef is that high. It is definitely higher than.
Yeah, see that's not a winning message. That's not a winning message. That's what I mean when I say a lot of these like pro-Trump, pro-free market people want you to really consider like their bottom line in a way that they don't necessarily consider for other industries either. Because I'm sure when they look at their, P's and L's, their profits and losses, they're like, oh no, beef is not cheap at all. But that's just not like what the consumer is concerned with, obviously. Consumers know everything is expensive. That's why they want some things to come down. They don't go like, oh, everything is expensive, so let me really care about our cattle ranchers. They go, I can't afford that. So, I mean, that is just what the like capitalist impulse is. No special treatment except for me and you, obviously, when we're talking about ourselves, but not for each other when we're talking about each other. New tariffs are going to hurt too.
We do understand that, but our American cattle ranchers, if we want to rebuild the herd, we've got to have some sustainability and we got to have some profitability in this market.
Yeah, many shoppers have been sharing images of the price of ground beef per pound and being shocked at the $7, $8 in some places, myself among them. Help people understand then why the price is so high and what measures you would rather see the country take.
Well, I think when we look at why beef is that high, one of the things that goes into it, and it goes into everything we do, is fuel costs are up. Every part of the chain in the beef industry, fuel costs are higher. And
Fuel
that comes
costs?
from when we move cattle to the markets,
Why are
from
fuel
when
costs
they're
higher?
500-pound calves all the way through the chain. So I think fuel costs are one thing. I think if we had a chance to change anything, we think that could make a very much bigger impact than it would if we're trying to just import beef to cheapen up our very much safest, best protein on the planet than it would be to bring that stuff in from a foreign country.
Well, Justin Tupper, we really appreciate you providing some of your insight this morning. It's 5:40 early there in South Dakota, where you are.
Oh,
Very
South
much
Dakota.
appreciate you joining us. Thanks.
Is that where Matt Leck is from? South Dakota or North Dakota? I think it's South Dakota. Diesel dogs. Ugh, everything is so expensive. I wonder how that happened. No, North Dakota. Which one is Christy Nome from? Oh, it is toasty. Toasty, toasty, toasty. Is it going to rain here later? Is it going to rain? Because maybe if not, I'll go for a walk. I'm not going to go for a walk. I'm just going to watch television. Nome is south. I don't know, folks. I feel very indecisive. South Dahola, that was great too. I feel very indecisive. A Fed interest rate hike might be coming soon. Demolition. Jesse Lee Peterson, no, I've already fried your brains enough this week. No more ranchers. No more ranchers, Monster or Jolly. The US is used to having cheap consumer goods, yeah. To convince people that they have like freedom. Cheap consumer goods are a sort of shortcut that the American people feel they're taking towards having real freedom. BLM launches hoax against Texas Roadhouse. I go for some Texas Roadhouse. No more bread. No, it's no more bread, only circuses. We only have circuses now. There's not enough good stuff in my algorithm anymore. Although I know it's getting like Sonic the Hedgehog music with Knuckles in it because of that stupid video we watched about Sonic being satanic. Yeah, a federal judge rejected Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal request. Don't worry, Trump will have her pardoned soon. The freedom to choose between 5 different types of Cheerios. Freddie Gibbs speaks out on Gary, Indiana. Oh. Does he sing For the Squad? I love that one. Andrew Wilson and his wife go to war with feminists. No more Andrew Wilson stuff. It's, no offense, low frequency. What are you guys in the mood for? What do you guys want to do? We got like a few minutes. I got time. I have more videos of cops behaving poorly. I have infinite videos of cops behaving poorly, if I'm being honest. Wow, there's West Nile virus in California now. R.I.P. Oh, Isaiah Rashad sings that. Yes. No, Tim. We should get some Tim Pool merch. And by we I mean I also really don't feel like listening to more stuff about Trump's sanctions because those are going to fail in a few days anyway. What was this case about? This particular cop? What did he do? Oh, this is ICE in Chicago. Well, I mean, watch this for sure. It's important to keep on top of stuff like this. Not this ad, of course, but a discourse beanie.
Let's go to Leslie Moreno as we're also getting in more information about a situation that took place first thing today, a crash involving ICE agents. Leslie, where did this happen and what do we know at this point?
Hey, Anita. Well, this certainly wasn't how families wanted to start the school year. This, according to Alderwoman Julia Ramirez, there were several ICE sightings throughout Chicago today, including that incident that you mentioned where a man was detained. According to her, there were several videos circulating on social media. They show ICE agents in McKinley Park. Alderwoman Ramirez says those agents were also spotted on 63rd and Pulaski and on 47th and Western near a Home Depot, as well on I-55 near the Damon exit. That is where Ramirez says a Hispanic male in this blue pickup truck there was chased by agents, rammed into the side of a concrete wall and detained. Illinois State Police did respond to the scene, and officials tell us it was a two-vehicle crash and ICE agents were in one of those vehicles. Ramirez says the chaos resulted in community members taking to the streets to blow their whistles and warn others of the ICE activity. She says the sightings are deeply concerning for families as students returned to class today.
And I think it really is sort of this calculated effort of people, having to take their kids to school, potentially profiling a lot of individuals by the Home Depot, which is something that we see on a daily basis. The individual that they crashed into, I mean, we're talking about a pickup truck, a ladder in the back of the pickup, a Hispanic male. And so what I had gathered when I was on the scene is that they didn't have a warrant for his arrest, but they're out enough and potentially profiling people to try to detain them.
Oh yeah, also to terrorize people because, ultimately they want immigrants to not feel comfortable in public life because that's the only way they can win in the eyes of their chud base who still cares about stuff like this more than they care about their waning standard of living. And so immigrants being too afraid to come to school, being kicked out of public spaces because they're afraid of being picked up by ICE or profiled by ICE. And then brown people, broadly speaking, also feeling the same way just means that ultimately Trump can say that he's won. He's gotten brown people off the street. So don't worry about the fact that society is not actually improving. Just assume that it is because you don't have to see as many brown people anymore.
And we also received reports that ICE agents were spotted near schools. We did reach out to Chicago Public Schools. They tell us that there were no incidents reported today. We also reached out to DHS, Department of Homeland Security, to learn more about this incident, but we have not heard back yet. Anita?
Thank you so much for that report, but I know that wasn't the only story that you were on today. Let me ask you about this one, and then let's get to the next one. Does Alderwoman Ramirez feel like sightings may ramp up more before there's any action taken?
She does actually. She says sightings were significantly down in June and July, and she feels, now as kids are returning back to school and families are having to leave their home and pick up and drop off, she feels and fears that there will potentially be more sightings. She does, however, say that the city's response team is ready and available to assist these families who might be feeling a bit fearful with all of this. Anita.
Yeah, I'm sure there is a decent amount of fear there, and at such a time as this.
Yeah, see, I mean, here's a video talking about exactly that. Hispanic student enrollment falls in Maryland and Virginia amid ICE enforcement fears. Because ultimately, what you have to understand is that in the minds of a lot of racists in America, and in a lot of people who are, open to racist excuses for our failing society, the presence of brown people is so heavily correlated with the waning material and social conditions that they're experiencing that they just assume that they don't assume, they've been told that it's causative. And so the only way for Trump to really be said to be doing anything, and obviously Stephen Miller is just like a Nazi, is to make it so people don't have to see minorities at all. Because at least for a while, people will take that as a sign that things are on their way towards getting better. But obviously we know that in fact, it's going to cause things to be worse in a lot of different ways. For a while, people will confuse that for things must be about to get better because there are fewer brown people, AKA undocumented immigrants around me. But that's only for a very, very small portion of the population who can still be tricked into thinking that this stuff is going to work and okay. And that's just not a very big part of the population anymore. But yeah, let's hear about this waning enrollment.
That Trump immigration crackdown likely causing an enrollment drop of Hispanic students in local classrooms. Fox 5's Tisha Lewis has a deeper dive into the new numbers tonight.
Maryland state data saying that Hispanic student enrollment is down in schools across the state. Fewer students showing up for class due to increased ICE enforcement, including deportations. Those are what the numbers are showing. I did speak with Prince George's County Educators Association's executive director, who stands by the group's assertion they don't know the full impact just yet, going on to say new enrollment numbers raise serious concerns about their focus. Even so, their focus remains on ensuring immigrant students are safe and protected at schools. Maryland State Department of Education data indicates Hispanic K-12 student enrollment is down 0.6% statewide compared to the last 4 years of growth post-COVID-19 pandemic. Fox 5 has learned Hispanic student enrollment is down more than 3% in Montgomery County. That's more than 1,800 students, and about 0.2% in Prince George's County. That's about 160 students compared to 2021. We did reach out to ICE and we're awaiting a response. Meanwhile, we're told the decline in Hispanic student enrollment is also taking place in Virginia.
I'm hearing some very troubling complexities from the community. I have heard from constituents that there's a great deal of fear in the community and that people are basically living in hiding in our communities now.
They absolutely have been present on school grounds, present in close proximity to our school zones, present as families attempt to take their young ones to and from school.
Maryland State Department of Education data showing all but 2 of the state's predominantly Hispanic populated high schools saw Hispanic student enrollment decrease by up to 11%. Hispanic student graduation rates are also down. For perspective, Hispanic student enrollment was up by about 4% back in 2021. We did reach out to several school districts across Virginia and Maryland, and we are awaiting more details.
And of course, obviously, a side effect, well, not really side effect, but a consequence of this is that it makes it even harder for people entering the country to integrate generationally because their kids won't be integrated into the community via schools. And then the same right wingers who, caused this will be crowing about immigrants in the country, not integrating properly, even as they make it impossible for them to actively integrate by nature of having kids be folded into our society via our public education system. Yeah, it's a whole disgusting system. Soon, the schools will be entirely empty and defunded. There won't be any immigrant kids in school. There won't be any brown kids in school. And there won't be any white kids in school because they'll have been taken out by their parents to like homeschool them because they've been told that the schools are full of immigrants and brown people all learning DEI, and CRT. AI students is the solution. AI schools are the solution, obviously. Businesses still steal billions in employee pay yearly. NYC wants to end wage theft for low-income workers. Hell yeah. RIP to Tim Curry. That's so sad. Ugh. A lot of beautiful souls departing this week. Trump next? No. I shouldn't say that. But, he's getting up there. Not Tim. RIP Tim. My favorite Tim. Gosh, we haven't watched Jillian Michaels in a while. What do you think she's up to? I got to start making clips of more like actual news because people are going to think this is like a slop only channel. And we're only a slop mostly channel. Why is Tucker Carlson defending Andrew Tate? I mean, I don't know. Why is all of the Republican Party basically doing the same? No, this all looks boring. It all looks like it sucks. The Rocky Horror Picture Show, yeah. I mean, so many great Tim Curry performances. Of course, I love him in Clue as the butler. Ghost jobs are everywhere. Colorado County declares emergency for running out of money to pay law enforcement. That doesn't sound like an emergency to me. You want to hear about that? That
Phil, I first reported on issues with the Costilla County Sheriff's Office this time last year. Then the local DA threatened to stop taking cases from the sheriff's office because she didn't trust them. Since then, the sheriff was indicted and resigned. The undersheriff was indicted. Deputies were indicted, leaving a new sheriff with limited options for public safety. Costilla County.
Okay, wait, what? I got to start from the beginning because that was very crazy, but I believe it. So wait, what all happened to this place?
Phil, I first reported on issues with the Costilla County Sheriff's Office this time last year. Then the local DA threatened to stop taking cases from the sheriff's office because she didn't trust them. Since then, the sheriff was indicted and resigned. The undersheriff was indicted. Deputies were indicted, leaving a new sheriff with limited options for public safety. Costilla County just declared an emergency for a sheriff's office staffing shortage and lack of funds to pay overtime for the deputies they do have.
Is there a safety risk for the residents of Costilla County right now?
I don't feel there is. I feel the sheriff has been doing a great job. They are working an unsustainable amount of overtime, and it could take its toll eventually.
Costilla County Administrator Ben Dune just presented this emergency resolution to the county commissioners last week. The hope is to unlock money from the state to help cover overtime for the limited deputies on patrol. Earlier this year, the county and state set aside $180,000 in emergency funds to help pay deputies from other sheriff's offices to cover shifts. Only a portion of that money was spent, so the county is asking for the rest directly.
Thank you for the mutual aid help. That really is not helping our problem. Our problem right now is overtime because we don't have anybody coming in from other areas of the state to support us, and we need help with overtime. So can we reobligate those funds to help pay for overtime?
In the last 5 months, the sheriff's office has had almost 35.
I kind of want to hear just mostly about what was going on with this sheriff's department before this that led to this particular, I don't know, purge, right? Because that was like a crazy set of events. Costilla County. Anytime you click on a video about a sheriff, it just ends up like this. Half of Costilla County Sheriff's Office indicted. County appoints new sheriff in an emergency meeting, but that's not from. Wow, abuse of a corpse and tased mental health patient. What the hell was going on? Whoa. Folks. These sheriffs out here. I guess we just have to a lot of stories about this particular organization. Okay, let's just click one, sure.
The Castilla County Sheriff and 4 of his employees, including his son, have been indicted on multiple charges, some felonies. According to the 12th Judicial District Attorney's Office, Sheriff Danny Sanchez and former Deputy Keith Schultz were indicted on 5 counts each of official misconduct and 1 count each of abuse of a corpse. This surrounds their handling of unidentified human remains in the Wild Horse Mesa area. Court documents say the discovery of those remains was reported in October of 2024, when Sheriff Sanchez and Deputy Schultz took a skull from the scene and left other remains behind. They also failed to properly report these findings. It goes on to say Deputy Schultz put bones in a bag, left the bag unsecured on his desk, went out on another call, and when he came back, the bag was gone. The DA's office says that in a separate incident, Sergeant Caleb Sanchez was indicted on counts of assault for his use of force on a citizen who was suffering a mental health crisis. Deputy Roland Riley was indicted on the same counts. And Under Sheriff Cruz Soto was indicted on 2 counts of failing to intervene and 1 count of third-degree assault in the same incident. Court documents say the person was unarmed and suffered a broken rib after being tased by Sanchez during that incident. Adding days later, Sanchez said he was too new to understand what happened. Again, he is the son of Sheriff Sanchez.
Shock and uncertainty in Costilla County after multiple indictments against top members of the sheriff's office, leaving many in the community searching for answers. I'm Michelle Reyes, and even as the news broke, county leaders said they're still trying to process what it all means.
It's a sad situation.
Me too.
And,
crazy for the U to be like not level. It's like a Reno 911 skit.
It hurts, you know. We want what's best for the community.
That uncertainty now spreading across the San Luis Valley, raising concerns
Just like a
about
stray
trust in
dog
local law
walking
enforcement.
around.
No citizen of the San Luis Valley should have any doubts about the integrity of their police force. This office is not afraid to defend that trust.
District Attorney Ann Kelly says the individuals indicted have turned themselves in and were expected to postpone quickly, all presumed innocent until proven guilty. She also made it clear holding law enforcement accountable is necessary to rebuild public trust.
I cannot and will not ignore violations of the trust that a community should have in their police.
But for county commissioners, the focus right now is not on calling for resignations, but supporting the community through uncertainty.
So I think it's a bit premature to call for the resignation, right? And I think that's up to the sheriff, and also I think it's up to the
Of the bone collector, the call for what do you mean? I think they should resign. They're like stealing skulls. The Bay Photo, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Sheriffs are the most insane people. Something about the top law enforcement position being an elected office seems to attract the nuttiest people. Oh yeah, for sure. Like used car salesmen. And same like how some judges in areas are like elected and don't have to be any way like lawyers or informed about the law.
citizens of the county.
With a hearing set for April 1st and an ongoing investigation, the focus now turns to what's next for the case and the community. In Costilla County, I'm Michelle Reyes, News 5.
Okay. Oh man, another cop road raging. Shucks. So much stuff going on. I'm very interested in this story. I love watching videos of cops. You know, you gotta back the blue. But I love road rage incidents. It makes me really...
Right now at 10, both of your investigators are working for you, covering Colorado first and digging into issues impacting you.
Oh, this is all out of Colorado. Like road rage is one of my like biggest fears. I think that it's one of my most irrational fears about America. Like I feel that if you drive out of New York City, you immediately get rear-ended by some hog who's armed and mad that you had the nerve to get rear-ended by them. Like Texas and Florida and California, I think are the top 3 worst road rage states.
And your family.
I don't know about
who is
Colorado.
being hired as a police officer and what their qualifications are.
Anybody and none. Easy question. Or I guess easy questions. Next questions.
And your family. Like who is being hired as a police officer and what their qualifications are.
This national outcry comes after 2 people were killed by law enforcement in Minneapolis last month, which is sparking another conversation surrounding second chance cops. Your investigator Brian Moss will show us why departments are hiring these officers who leave one department under a cloud, then resurface at another.
I don't like that at all. Second chance cops. That sounds like a kid that you thought was dying of cancer who survived. Like my little second chance baby. No, I don't like that at all. Ollie Cake, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships over on YouTube. No, this isn't an ICE agent specifically, but I think a lot of ICE agents are like second chance cops. But that's like a crazy name. Like we shouldn't have anything like that. You should only get one chance to be a police officer. It seems like a pretty high responsibility job. Second chance cops, like that's like what? Make-A-Wish Foundation shit. Gosh, second chance police officers. It's crazy that there's even a name for it.
One department under a cloud, then
Under a
resurface
cloud?
at another.
No pigs left behind. They have a whole commercial about it.
Are slick, fast-paced,
rock and roll,
and designed to sell the job. With fewer people applying to be police officers, departments are competing for a shrinking pool of candidates.
Fewer psychos out there. No way. There's way more. A lot less
And
discipline.
in small towns in Colorado, that competition comes with pressure.
We're not going to get the guy that wants to work for the big agency. You've got guys that want to see all the action down in Denver. We've got people that sometimes just chase the money, right? We don't pay $120,000 a year. And so we have to go through with the applicants that we get, and we have to find the best fit for us as an agency. And the majority of the time that works out, and sometimes it doesn't.
Scott Sedgwick is police chief in Hudson, 30 miles northeast of Denver. He runs a department of 12 officers.
Every single day I come to work, and I try to make the best decisions for this town that I possibly can.
But best sometimes means officers who left their last department with questions, like Hayden Anderson. State records show he resigned from the Longmont Police Department while under internal investigation. Sedgwick says that case involved allegations of excessive force, but he disagreed with the findings and hired Anderson anyway.
He disagreed with the findings. I think that their little patch is pretty cool, even though it kind of looks like a train about to like run over a buffalo or a bison or whatever. I choose to ignore it and just kind of interpret it as like them kind of passing each other like two like ships in the night. But it does look like a train about to just splash this buffalo. And considering the history of American eradication of native species in the country during like Manifest Destiny, I guess it is more accurate to interpret it that way. But I do like it. I like the patch, I like the colors. It's like something that I could paint in my version of a Bob Ross show.
Of excessive force, but he disagreed with the findings.
He's fine.
And hired Anderson anyway.
I'm sure he's fine.
Or Vanessa Trujillo.
Again, my name is Vanessa Trujillo. Previous experience is banking.
State record shows she resigned from the Parker Police Department in 2024 while facing termination. The department said she exhibited documented dishonesty, a pattern of intentional misrepresentations. And she was repeatedly caught driving around Parker between 80 and 93 miles an hour while on routine patrol, egregiously exceeding the speed limit, said Parker PD. And she provided unbelievable excuses about repeatedly sleeping on duty. Prosecutors later issued a letter saying she had exhibited untruthfulness. Sedgwick hired her anyway.
We found some things in the investigation that we didn't necessarily.
Do you think that he thought she was pretty, or he thinks he's just desperate? Like, I mean, desperation is not a good answer for this because I doubt that they're so shorthanded that they just had to have these two. I think it had to have been like, oh, she's pretty.
We found some things in the investigation that we didn't necessarily agree with.
Sedgwick also hired Jack Ross. Ross left the Alt Police Department in 2023 while he was under investigation for failing to arrest a suspect. Ross moved to the Keensburg Police Department before Hudson offered him more money.
I believe in second chances, and I think there are some really good officers.
Do you ever hire anybody who hasn't been fired from a different police department? This is like, yeah, literally second chance you. This is like that movie where The Rock teaches juvenile detention center kids how to play football or something. Like, can't you find anybody else? Like, even just some person who's like normal lazy, who's just like, yeah, you know, I don't know, it's the only job in town. Like, it seems like you're recruiting like failed officers. Like, you're putting together like a suicide squad.
Who maybe have made a mistake in the past or had some issues with their current command staff who go to another agency and they thrive and they flourish and they do a great job.
But last August, while off duty, the Colorado State Patrol says Ross was, quote, actively road raging on I-25. Troopers say his actions caused an uninvolved vehicle to...
Well, actually, it says he's actively road ragging because there's only one G in road raging. And this says actively road ragging. But since it's like a, police document, I can only assume it was written by a police officer.
Raging on I-25. Troopers say his actions caused an uninvolved vehicle to swerve and roll over. The State Patrol says Ross fled the scene. The off-duty cop later told investigators he didn't see a crash. But his wife told investigators she did see the crash and mentioned it to her husband, who said it wasn't their fault. Ross is facing charges of reckless driving and failing to report an accident, both misdemeanors.
How serious is that, not just for a citizen, but for a police officer?
I think it's very serious.
Sedgwick says Ross never disclosed the incident. The department learned about it from a tip. Ross resigned while under investigation.
Would you rehire him?
No.
How come?
Are you sure?
I believe he was untruthful.
Facing a possible firing by the Hudson Police Department for untruthfulness, Jack Ross left and looked for another job in law enforcement. He didn't have to look long, and he didn't have to go far, just about 8 miles down this road.
Back to Keensburg, where he had worked before. Despite 2 resignations during internal affairs investigations into his conduct, and despite a pending hit-and-run case, Keensburg rehired Jack Ross.
We had an employment history with him. I know what kind of police officer he is. I know.
Damn, he didn't have to probably move. He probably could just like commute a little further from the place he already lived. It's insane. It is insane how easy it is to just like shuffle from police department to from police department to police department after essentially being fired or found in some ways like guilty of misconduct or whatever.
An employment history with him. I know what kind of police officer he is. I know how well he integrates into the community here, and I made that decision to bring him back.
Was he the best candidate you could find?
He was a viable candidate, and in my opinion, a good fit for our town.
But if someone else applied today with a similar criminal case?
Would you consider a cop that came today with that on his record?
With a hit and run pending?
A pending hit and run?
Yeah, probably not.
Jensen says he believes in Ross and believes in redemption. The same philosophy applies to another cop on the force, Scott Persichetti. He was one of 3 officers fired by Denver police in 2024 after joking on a text thread about shooting migrants for target practice.
And he made a dumb comment that looks very bad, and it is bad.
Okay.
In quiet corners of Colorado, police departments are staffed with officers getting second and sometimes third chances, a practice that tests public trust.
My objective is to give them the best police department that they can afford, and so I hire the best cops that I can find.
Do you think that undermines public confidence in policing?
I think it can, yes. Sometimes it's easier to have the vacancy than it is to fill the position.
I'm Brian Moss, covering Colorado First.
Both chiefs told Brian they look at each case individually, adding the cases can be complex and nuanced.
As for Jack Ross, he is still on the job in Keensburg and has another court date in that hit and run case next month.
Oh, okay. Video shows police officer in road rage crash case. Is this the same cop? This is all Colorado, actually. We're doing a Colorado cop deep dive. Cops
Next
love
to the
road
harsh
raging.
criticism of a Colorado police officer charged with failing to report a crash. A crash investigators say he caused while off duty.
This is that same one.
As your investigator, Brian Moss, shows us, some of the strongest criticism is coming from a very unexpected place.
On this stretch of I-25 near Windsor last August.
911, what's the address for the emergency?
I'm in the middle of the interstate I-25 on my way up to Cheyenne.
Anger and fury were moving faster than traffic.
Oh my gosh.
Polly Voss was a passenger headed north when she noticed two cars in the express lane, cutting each other off, brake checking, swerving.
It was really 10 out of 10 intensity level, which is why we started filming.
In one moment, a passenger in a white Audi leans out the window, gesturing.
Sorry, hold on. Let me make this larger for you so you can see what's happening. I'm glad they have the whole video. He's having a full Mad Max moment. Crazy.
A passenger in a white Audi leans out the window, gesturing at the Subaru driver.
I'm thinking a gun's coming out next. I mean, that was my initial thought. I thought this is escalating.
That didn't happen, but this did. The Subaru swerves out of the express lane, cutting off a Jeep.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
The driver of the Jeep takes evasive action, loses control, crosses back across the highway, and rolls.
Oh my God! Okay.
I'm thinking
Crazy.
this person in this white Jeep is probably dead.
God, we gotta help that guy! We gotta help him!
The driver was 17-year-old Katie Bush. She survived. Voss, a registered nurse, pulled over and ran to help.
We opened the door and the driver was hanging from her seatbelt, just kind of stunned. I couldn't believe it. I felt like there were angels looking over us.
The Subaru did not stop. According to the Colorado State Patrol, the driver had been actively road raging before leaving the scene. Troopers later identified that driver as Jack Ross. Ross told investigators he didn't see a crash. But according to CSP records, his wife, who was in the car, told troopers she did see the crash and told her husband. She said he responded it wasn't their fault. Ross has worked in law enforcement for years, leaving one department while under investigation. He was working for the Hudson Police Department at the time of the road rage incident and resigned after he was charged with reckless driving and failure to report an accident or return to the scene. Ross was then hired by the Keensburg Police Department.
In my gut, I don't believe that he was unaware that he caused an accident.
That's Jeff Bush, Katie's father. How surprised were you to find out that it was someone in law enforcement in one of those cars?
I was extremely surprised, and I was extremely disappointed. I think it hit my stomach harder when I found out that it was an off-duty officer.
You see, Jeff Bush has been in law enforcement himself for 23 years.
Oh my God, what
and
a
he
twist!
Has no tolerance for what he sees as a clear failure of duty.
To see that type of behavior from an off-duty officer.
Another cop on cop story.
The lack of care and compassion to leave the scene after causing the accident is really what was frustrating to me about it.
For Bush, this is where the so-called blue wall of silence crumbles. Is it hard for you to do this interview? And if so, why?
It is a little bit difficult for me to do this interview, but at the end of the day, right is right, wrong is wrong.
He says Jack Ross should have stopped, called 911, rendered aid, and he questions whether Ross should remain in law enforcement.
He questions.
But there's got to be a line somewhere with the hiring standards, even in the smaller agencies.
He's not alone.
If your police officers aren't there to serve and protect, what's the point?
Hours after the crash, Polly got a voicemail.
Hi there.
A message she says she will never delete.
I'm just calling because you helped. Sorry. You helped my daughter today. Just thank you from the bottom of my heart again. And if I could right now, I'd give you a huge hug.
I was just extremely grateful for her to stop and take care of my child since I couldn't.
Lawyers for Officer Jack Ross say that he has no comment on this report. Ross is due back in court next week, and court records indicate prosecutors may be considering a plea offer. Karen Jeff Bush says he doesn't think that there should be a plea deal in this case because, as he put it in his words, Officer Ross needs to face the music.
Now, Brian, that new video that we were just
I thought he was going to say because it impacted me. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. It's always blue on blue. It's crazy. I wonder if I just put up like wow, this video is about a cop who stole someone's laptop. Can you believe it? No, we don't have time for any more cop stories. We're going to get out of here. The blue wall of silence cannot exist. He says that because it impacts him, it should be treated differently this time. I agree. Let's get out of here. And his wife snitched on him. That's crazy. I mean, I don't support any member of that relationship. Like, also, I mean, wasn't she the one driving the car? And so if she saw the accident, why didn't she stop? Like, he caused the accident because he was the one, like, leaning out of the car window? That was him, right? But, like, so, like, why didn't she stop the car? Just asking a question. No, the white car was the guy hanging out. Was he not the one? No, he was driving the car behind. Oh, okay. I rescind my criticism then. I don't expect her to, like, grab the wheel, obviously. I thought he was the one who was going full, like, War Boys. Yeah, woman drivers, right? We got Pearl in the chat. Economy slowing, RIP Dolly Parton, how police seized political power with Stuart Schrader out in the Majority Report. That's the raid on YouTube setup. Let's get the raid on Twitch setup. Well, to be honest, I would much rather a nurse render aid to me after an accident than a fucking cop. Could you imagine? All right. What should I have for dinner? I always ask you guys that, and I never get an answer that I'm satisfied with. Maybe a burger. Am I on a Majority Report today? No, it's Wednesday, right? Maybe a burger. I don't want ramen. I'm not going to go out. I want to watch Widow's Bay or finish The Beauty. I could go for like a burger, yeah. I don't feel like cooking. I work hard, no offense. So I don't feel like cooking tonight. Wednesdays are ramen days for me. Great stream as always. I appreciate it. Burgers are always solid. Ooh, I could get Taco Bell. No, I don't want to get Taco Bell. I've heard so many stories about like people getting cyclosporiasis from there. You had ramen for breakfast? Ooh, the breakfast of champions. How does Brandon not plan his meals? Why would I plan my meals? I've mastered ultra instinct eating. I don't need to plan my meals. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, I accidentally canceled the raid on Twitch. Let me try that again. I guess I just didn't want to see you go so quickly. I could maybe do sushi again, even. Let us out. Let us out. You know, I clicked it by accident. I was going to try to click raid now. I'm going to make tortillas daily. What are you talking about? I close the doors. That's right. No one gets out. You're trapped in here with me. No, raid's going to go off. I just had sushi, though, too. Sushi and pokers with the boys. I'm not going to have any boys over. Bye, chat. Bye, Brandon. I have to decide. I can decide. Maybe Chinese. Dare I? I could always have pizza. I could get like a oven pizza. Yeah, R.I.P. once again to the GOAT, Tim Curry. We're going to the buffet. There's no buffets near me. Ooh, yeah, maybe Indian. That's a good idea too. I can't decide. I'm gonna take a shower and I'll decide. All right. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a good rest.